And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for a lefty and a righty to not only get along, but to be able to have a civil conversation when we disagree. Because never forget, common sense has no political affiliations. What's going on, man?
How's you hanging, brother? Had a couple days with some technical difficulties, but now I'm back.
It's been weird. It's been a weird week.
It has been a super weird week. It's nice to be back to our regularly scheduled programming. Wise guy, how's it going, brother?
And I think this one is going to be right down your alley. As I was looking,
eh? Nice.
Well, you know, I don't believe in coincidences, and I've been trying to bring our commentary to what Mark Carney said about Muslim values being Canadian values last week. And then yesterday, of course, he raises the flag, the LGBTQ flag at the parliament, and then pledges $1.5 million to protect Pride parades. So I'm like,
increase safety,
bro, which one is it? Which one is it? So I'm kind of happy that you weren't here yesterday,
because that ain't Muslim values. I promise you that.
What? No, you don't say that Muslim values and LGBTQ values they don't align. Is that what you're trying to say?
Queers for Palestine.
So there's a bunch of stuff. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about Poilievre finally addresses Bill C2, which doesn't say much, but you'll see. I'll show you the video. He finally addresses it after a week of it being out. There's a historical drug bust that was made yesterday in Peel region, which should be a good thing, but wait till you see this video.
Okay.
There's a new, what's going on, Pete B in Alberta? What's going on?
Pam, good morning to you.
I don't know if you heard about the BC ferries, and I'm not talking anything related to Pride here.
Hi.
I'm not talking about the BC ferries.
Kind of ferries.
I'm talking about the one that transports people on water.
Yes. Of course.
So there's something that came out regarding that, which is liberal logic 101 right there.
I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, but don't get too excited. It's not ferries.
No, it's not those kind of ferries. Okay.
Is they boat. Their CBC blames Trump for something happening in Canada. RFK did something. Damn, that's pissing off a lot of people yesterday.
Okay.
And yeah, there's another video I found, or another article that I found about a man by the name of Mark Carney. And now that I'm just looking at my stuff, there are two stories that are basically showing the same problem. The bust that took place, the historical drug bust that took place in the Peel region, just so you know, that's just west of Toronto. It's like Mississauga.
Okay.
And what the judge did yesterday to Mark Carney, which, brother, oh, fuck. I'm going to have to be very careful about what I say on that one on YouTube, because, god damn, we're so fucked. We're just so fucked. But let's start with something that I know you will absolutely fucking love.
All right.
And the whole, just to give kind of a little intro to this, last week, Mark Carney is telling us that Muslim values are Canadian values. And yesterday, he raised an LGBTQ flag at the parliament, saying that one of our strengths of Canada is recognizing that people can be who they want to be. They can love who they want to love.
See,
it's
that. I hate that kind of rhetoric, because nobody disagrees. We all fucking agree with that. Like, nobody cares anymore who you want to have sex with in the privacy of your own home. Nobody gives a shit. What we don't like are when you're demanding, you're pushing your values on the rest of it. You're demanding that the rest of us agree that that man is a woman, or that drag queens should be reading books to kids in libraries. And it's just, it's simple. Leave the kids alone. Do not push your ideology onto me. I don't believe human beings can change sex. And my belief is firmly rooted in biology. Now, you're free to believe that they can, but
it's not deep biology. It's just
Yeah,
biology.
it's just regular ass biology, right? It's not. There's not.
It's
the
not
new
deep
biology.
biology.
Yeah.
Not
No,
deep
no,
biology.
I'm just saying it's deeply rooted in biology. Like, if you want to believe that men can become women the second they put on a dress, that's your right. But you don't have the right to demand that I also believe that, and then go after me if I say no. Call me a bigot and full of hate. Try to get me fired if I work for a government agency or whatever, because that's what they do, right? They get people fired. They get artists canceled. That's what people are pushing back on. Nobody gives a shit with the idea that you can be free to be whoever you want. Just keep it away from kids, and don't push it in schools, and don't push it on me. Other than that, fill your boots, do whatever the fuck you want.
But I'll let you go on a rant because that's kind of what you do.
Yeah, those are my ranting topics for sure.
The thing is that that's not even the point. The point is not, I agree with everything that you said, but the point is that 1 week he's telling us, as you're going to see in this video, that Muslim values are Canadian values. And the next week, as he raises an LGBTQ flag, he's telling us that you're free to love whoever you want. Wow!
How do the Muslims
Which
feel
one
about
is
that?
it?
Yeah. How do the Muslims feel about that? Because that ain't their values. That is not. And these, far leftists, like, they're trying to straddle this impossible line here, because these are fundamentally opposing values, right? Muslims do not like. The funny thing is, like, what did he put? $1.5 million towards keeping Pride Parade safe? It's the fucking people. Yeah, exactly. Who is it? Who is it that's going to be down there screaming at them? It ain't the white Christians. I promise you that. Just because they don't give a shit.
Fairies.
Yeah.
But I made this video last week because I found his speech to just be absolutely ludicrous. But this is what he said last Friday, and then I want to show you what he said yesterday. So this is what he said last Friday at the Muslim Association of Canada.
And the message of Eid resonates in this room, across the city, and I may say it should resonate with all Canadians. It's a story that some of us hear with slightly different nomenclature, whether the prophet is called Ibrahim or Abraham, Ishmael or Isaac. The lessons and values of Eid are the same. Canada, our Canada, is a diverse country. Proud home to different languages, different beliefs, different cultures. Those are differences that make us unique and make us strong. We can pray differently. We can gather in different places of worship, but all of us come together, all of us must come together around the values of Eid. The values of community, of generosity, and yes, of sacrifice. These are Muslim values. These are Canadian values. And the
music made it very, very nice and ominous.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That was a Nico special there. That's what he said last week, right? Yeah. That was his.
But even before you play the next one, I got a couple things I just want to say about that. Like one is just a point of biblical accuracy. Ishmael and Isaac are not two names for the same guy. They're fundamentally different people. Ishmael was Hagar's son with Abraham. Hagar is his handmaiden. Isaac is Sarah's son from Abraham. So just a little bit of Sunday school lesson there, Mark. But that's the thing that's not really important.
But he's a Christian.
Yeah, I'm not even, and I know the Bible more than he does.
But the part that's funny is that I Googled it afterwards too, because I'm like, hold on here, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
But what most people don't realize is that if you look at the Quran, they're
They had-
heavily influenced by
no,
by the Jewish Bible, by the Old Testament, like heavily.
yeah.
And even Jesus is a prophet to them. He's just not the son of God.
He's the second best prophet. He's not the son of God, but he's like right up there. The only one above him is obviously Muhammad, right? But you're right. Like it's all the same character. Like what he said first, Abraham and Ibrahim, those are two names for the same person.
Yeah.
And they're many of the main Bible characters like Elijah, Abraham, Jacob, they're all also prophets in Islam. And essentially Islam is just they took Christianity and added on to it. They just took what it was and added Muhammad to it, because obviously Muhammad won. The whole point was for him to be and of course he's elevated to the top, right? But just the more important critique is what he's saying there, like, it's like, oh, Canadian values, Muslim values, and then he lists these values like tolerance, diversity. I'm like, what? Like, look, man, I know there are some Muslims out there who individual Muslims who share those values. No doubt about that. That's not the argument. But to call them Muslim values is just
They're not.
They're not. They're just not. Like, they are not tolerant. Look at any fucking majority Muslim culture. Yeah, they're pretty tolerant when they make up 5 to 10% of a society, of a country. What happens when they become 50%? It's not so tolerant anymore. Not so diverse anymore. Just ask Lebanon. Ask Lebanon how that went.
It's
yeah.
What makes me the most, why I'm laughing is not what you're saying, but people will look at Christians and say, you guys are so this, you guys are so that, you guys are all bigots, are all fucking racist. Your Jesus would love no matter what. He would not have any breath. And I'm just like, you're condoning Muslims, but you're not condoning Christianity. Yet Muslim basically based their whole religion on the Old Testament, but added a guy that slept with 9 years old on top of everything. No, but there's certain things that you cannot debate. It is in there. No. You cannot debate the fact that
she's 9 years old. She's 9 years old. Yeah.
It tells you that it's okay to lie if you're lying to guys like me. If you're not lying to another. So this is the point, right? Good luck finding that in Christianity, because it ain't there. But the point is that they will condone me as a Christian, but then turn around and say, oh yeah, Muslim values are Canadian values. Really? Really, Marky? Really? And then he gives this, but watch this. Like, then that's yesterday at the Parliament. Mini Mark Carney raises the LGBTQ flag and then pledges $1.5 million to protect pride parades, whatever the fuck that means. I love how you can't even see him behind the cell phones. And did you notice what's on top of the flag?
Our
First
country,
Nations.
like the flag, is
yellow circle.
We're all different. We all have our distinctions. We're all Canadian. And one of our strengths of Canada is recognizing that people can be who they want to be. They can love whom they want to love. They can live where they want to live. The federal government, on whose seat we are the defender of those rights. We are the defender of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Sir.
When we stand up for all the rights of all our fellow Canadians, we strengthen our own. In a time where, unfortunately, around the world, there's a backlash struggling against the progress that has been made. In this time, Canada will always stand up for the vulnerable and for the equal rights that we cherish. Yes, we can take pride in how far we've come, but we should also recognize that there is much more to do. Far too many Canadians continue to face hatred and discrimination because of just who they are and whom they love. And that's why Canada's new government is supporting Fierté Canada Pride, to ensure and help have successful and safe pride celebrations across this land. Yeah.
I just want to see, is that echo there gone? Oh yeah, so because as Sylvie here said, apparently it's only when you're playing the video, because I did hear at that time, which kind of sucks. Now it shuts me up during videos, but I guess it's fine when we're not.
That's kind of a win-win solution. It's definitely a bug in the platform, but that's a win-win solution.
A bug, yeah. You probably put that in there.
I'm not that. Thanks for the vote of confidence, but I'm not that good. I'm not that good.
Yeah.
Fuck. How the fuck does he get away with this? The fact that he's saying it doesn't surprise me. As Angry Beaver saying, Carney is a snake, like most politicians out there. So it doesn't surprise me that he's saying it. But the fact that he's not being called out on it, the fact that 1 week he's saying that Muslim values are Canadian values, and now he's pledging $1.5 million to help protect pride parades. I don't even fucking know what that means. Is there going to be massive homosexual bouncers protecting the ferries? Like, what the fuck does that mean?
I just no, they don't. I mean, they don't really need protection. No one. There's really nobody like out there giving a shit. No one's out there protesting.
The children? Is that what they meant? Because that I agree with.
Yeah, I suspect that's not what he meant. I feel like that is just a way to. I guarantee you that 1.5 million is going to find itself into the pockets of activists. It's just a way to grift, and because I guarantee you it goes something like this: the activists go to high level government and say, hey, why don't you grease our palms and give us give us money in exchange for us endorsing you or giving you political favors, and we'll just we'll set up some company and we'll call that a pride fucking security company, and you can pay that company. But like it's all a grift, right? You don't need. I mean, really, a protester should be providing or people doing a community doing an activity should be providing their own security. Why is that the government's? Why is the government paying for it? But besides a couple cops to just keep, the basic peace, why are we spending any more than that? But
we just know why they do it. They're obviously buying votes. But
yes, that's exactly what it is.
I wanted to put that into perspective even more because do you remember this? Do you remember when Olivia Child, the mayor of Toronto, said this? Because that's another thing. And afterwards, I want to share some numbers with you because Mark Carney is not the only one that's pushing this bullshit. Like, do you remember this?
I don't hear sound.
Okay. Oh, hold on.
27.
I just muted the video in case it would echoing for you.
Toronto will increase funding support for Pride by 62% by 2027, starting with a 26% increase this year. Why a multi-year funding? It is a way for us to show the confidence and give Pride Toronto the foundation to say, you're here, you're not going anywhere, we believe in you, go out there and get the partnership you need.
Many of you know.
So 2 months ago, Olivia Child said that she would be giving $350,000 a year for the first year, and then an increase of 26% on the second year, and 62% by 2027, because they lost corporate sponsorship. So we got Mark Carney telling us that Muslim values are Canadian values. Then he pledges $1.5 million to protect their pride parades. You have Olivia Child that tells us that because Toronto Pride has lost corporate sponsors, they need to fund them at the rate of $350,000 a year for the first year, 26% increase in 2026, and a 62% increase by 2027. Yet, if you look at the statistics, the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, has the highest population of Muslims in Canada. Around 626,000 Muslims live around the GTA, which represents 10% of the GTA population because they're about 7 million, like just under 7 million people. And you're trying to tell me that those are Muslim values. Which one is it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, you can't
why-
have both. You can't have both. And you know, like you said, she only brought this funding up because the corporate world stopped funding it. And like, read the room a bit, right? The companies, the corporations, they know what's going on, right? They spend a lot of money knowing what trends and attitudes are going. If they're saying, "No, we just don't want to fund anymore," maybe the government, who is famously always behind the ball on every issue, should be a little bit proactive. You know, I don't think, you know, as Angry Beaver says, or Angry Canadian, sorry. There's also an Angry Beaver right under.
We got an angry beaver and an angry Canadian.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Says, Chow likes naked men walking down the streets of Toronto, apparently. And the fact of the matter is, like, obviously that's a humorous observation, but it's also factually true. That is what Pride has become. Now, I've got a fairly large following. I've got like 42,000 X followers. I built that mostly speaking against gender, and people would be shocked how many, what JD Vance would call the normal gays, how many normal gay people are out there that cannot stand this shit, that will never go to Pride, that are out there speaking against trans stuff. You know, we talked about the reason why this stream did so well yesterday, because Martina Navratilova, the famous tennis player, reshared it on my ex. Me and her follow each other. She's a lesbian. She's a famous, you know, lesbian, famous tennis player, but she's indicative of many gay people, gay men, lesbians out there who are just completely sick of this shit. So for Chow to sit there and say, like, as if this is about like tolerance and diversity and the people support this, it's bullshit, because most of us don't. Pride has literally become just a way for degenerate men to go out and display their fetishes in public. It's not about, you know, solidarity anymore. And most people, even, you know, even a ton of just regular as normal gay people are just sick of it.
You know, it comes down to this the same way as I talk to feminists saying, what are the rights that I have that you don't? Or the same thing for people that parade. What are the rights they have? What are the rights I have that they don't? Why are we putting so much emphasis on this? Because I'm pretty tired of celebrating people's sexuality. I don't know for you, but I don't see the need of investing money in celebrating people's sexual preferences, especially not taxpayers' money. So I'm thinking that Rob, by the face he's making, is having problems with his microphone. But so I will take some of the comments here, because God knows, we know we have a bunch of them. Let me see here. Let me go back. Tammy, thank you, Rob. Missed you yesterday for these common sense takes. Yeah, well, he is a common sense liberal. We don't have a lot of them, so might as well take advantage of it, right, Tammy? So Tammy's also saying that not to leave out Nico. I love your rants too. It's why I watch the show. Don't worry. You're not going to hurt my feelings. It's all good. But it is not the same. I was telling that to Rob before we started the show, that it's not the same when he's not around. There's not the banter between the two of us. So wise guy's saying these dorks just read whatever is put in front of them. It gotta be. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that a guy like Mark Carney is a lot smarter than you.
I don't know if there's something wrong with your mic, Nico, or if it's my headphone. Is it my headphone? I just lost you there.
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I would imagine that people would have told me that they couldn't hear me if they couldn't.
Am I muted?
No, I can hear you, man.
I'll be right back.
I can definitely hear you. Can you guys tell me in the comment section if you can hear me? Because Rob seems to be having some issues, so it's either me or it's him. But yeah, we'll see. Because I think my microphone's working, right? We can hear both of you. Yeah, okay, so that's what I thought, Sylvie. He seems to be having headphones problems, so he'll be back. We got plenty of comments to take before he gets back either way. Back from a trip from Vancouver, actually, says Pete B in Alberta. Well, it's good to have you back. Wise guy saying you can beat Mark Carney, won't get the Muslim vote from here on out. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't see it happening. I do not see it happening at all. I think he's still going to continue getting it, because at the end of the day, he's still doing what they want him to do. So I don't think they care. I really, really don't think that they care that much. Because, man, think about it this way. Even Pierre Poilievre panders to them. Like he posted last week on EID, to wish them a happy celebration. So even him panders to him. So I don't think it matters, man. I think whatever politicians, unfortunately, I think Maxime Bernier was about the only leader that was not pandering to any minorities. And, let me ask that question to you guys that are there right now. Are you tired of seeing our politicians, both left and right, pander to minorities? Because it's not a leftist thing anymore. It's not just a liberal thing. It's a conservative thing too. Like Pierre Poilievre was pandering to them last week. So are you tired of seeing our politician pander to minorities? I know I am. I'm fucking tired of this shit. How about we take care of Canadians instead of pandering and spending our taxpayers' money on minorities? We should be taking care of the majority of Canadians, right? If you're watching the show on X, make sure to obviously like, follow the account, share the stream. This is something that you can do on X. If you want to be part of the conversation here at the bottom right, like if you're on X, you can't see it, but this is where the conversation takes place. It's all in YouTube. So if you do want to be part of the conversation, make sure to follow us on the YouTube channel at the Poli Orphans and join the conversation. If you are on YouTube, make sure to like. And make sure to subscribe. And if you feel like supporting what we do, we have a membership scheme. Shit, I always say scheme. Now we can't hear you. Nice. Now we can't hear you at all. There's times that we want Rob to be muted, but this was not one of them. So now he can hear, but we can't hear him. But all to say that we do have a membership program on YouTube if you want to help us out, if you want to support us. $2.99 a month. It's not even a cheap cup of coffee at Tim Hortons. Not only does it give you access to the chat, does it give you access to priority comments, but it also gives you access to our members only Discord server, where you can continue this conversation over there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So save your marriage, save your relationship. Instead of talking politics with your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, join us on the Discord server and talk politics there. Oh boy, my wife is, of course. My wife is sending me pictures of myself saying that you get to see this face. Ooh, right? Is that worth $2.99 a month? My wife thinks it is. Oh, finally, we can hear.
Okay, are we good now? Are we good?
Yes.
This one's definitely fixable. Yeah, I got this. We're good. No worries.
As he smacks the headphone off.
Yes, Tammy, we appreciate that. That's why I get paid the big bucks. That's what I'm here for.
Oh boy, these dorks. Yeah, wise guy. I don't know, man. I don't think they just read.
Seems like. That's what it seems like.
Yeah,
to me.
But I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Mark Carney's too smart to read dumb shit that he doesn't believe in. Unfortunately, would I say that about the average politician? Yes. Mark Carney is not Justin Trudeau. I'm still not done his book because it's heavy and I like to confirm what he's talking about. But man, I'm still reading his book and he is brilliant, man. I fucking hate to say it. I really don't like to say it because he's brilliantly evil. But he's a Marxist. He clearly is a Marxist. So what he talks about there to me makes sense because he's just pandering to all the minorities possible and they don't seem to care.
You're Canadian. Almost time for my Taj Mahortons. Yeah, that's really funny. Did you end up getting all the comments?
I was just going to say no, hell no. We're nowhere close to taking all the comments.
After you finish there, we'll go back and take some.
The Taj Mahorton, I was thinking the same thing. I was going to say instead of being served the coffee by Indians, just subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah,
it's a win-win. Yeah. It's a win-win. So
everybody wins. Did you do the make sure to like and share speech? I thought I caught the end of it.
Yeah.
No,
yep. Yep, I
Yes,
did
yes.
the speech. I guess the sales speech.
Yeah, you got it. You're on the ball.
Because there's somebody in there that said, "Hey guys, we're like 20 people
Yeah,
live.
that's actually why I
How the
was
fuck
saying
do
that.
we not have enough?" He reminded me to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It was Angry Beaver or Angry Canadian, one of the Angries.
PM Sun is part of the Rainbow Crew, right? Duchess of
Yes.
Dub. Yes.
No, I
He
think
is
that's a woman actually. I think she's a female and she's become like his daughter is a they them a queer or whatever the fuck they call themselves. But she is definitely one of them.
mentally ill.
Yeah, that's probably the better word. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the fact that I generally think politicians' families should be off limits. Like, it's not their, it is what it is. But he sent his own daughter to the Tavistock clinic. Remember, you said you read the book Time to Wait, I believe. That's all about the Tavistock clinic, and it's been shut down primarily because of that book. But it was just horrific. Girls were going there because they were, had been sexually assaulted. And so they were depressed, they had anxiety, they had serious issues. And the only treatment no matter what they came there for, it was like, oh, you're trans. Let's cut your breasts off.
Yeah, that's to me, you know what's funny is that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, gay camps became outlawed. Like you couldn't send your gay kid to a Christian gay camp in order for him to not be gay anymore. Yet they will send mentally ill
the conversion
children.
therapy stuff?
Yeah, exactly. What's the fucking difference?
There is
what's the difference between
and
you sending it to a gay camp to try to get him fixed or sending him to a trans camp in order for him to become a woman?
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, many of the teenage boys who go to these clinics are probably just gay kids, and so when they get turned into a woman, now they're straight because they're a woman who likes men. So I mean, that's literally conversion therapy, right? It's what they're talking about. Say is the worst thing ever. Except this conversion therapy is even worse than the other kind. That just fucks with your head. This fucks with your head and cuts your body parts off. This one is much worse. The trans conversion therapy.
I love this one. I've seen the meme. Canada for
Islam
is
Queers for Palestine, same thing.
Chickens for KFC.
Yeah.
Queers for Palestine is the same as chicken for KFC.
Speaking of, remember that KFC commercial you showed me the other day? That was fucked up.
Which one? Oh, jeez. I can't show it on here.
Yeah, we can't show it, eh?
It will get the stream banned. I try to share it on YouTube just as a video. Got taken down right away. It is some funky ass shit, and it comes from Sylvie. It's Sylvie that sent it to me on X. It's just Google if you want to see really something fucked from KFC. Just Google KFC UK chicken.
Satanic,
chicken.
satanic commercial maybe or something.
It's hailed chicken. Like
it felt like it. It felt
chicken KFC. I'll show you the tag. I'll find it. I won't play it, but I will.
Let's take this comment here while you're doing that.
I got it here. It's
okay
right here. So if you just Google this, all hail gravy. Just check that out. It is dystopian. It is fucked.
I don't understand what they were thinking just from a marketing perspective. It doesn't do anything for the brand. It doesn't make anybody want to buy it.
It's beautiful art. Don't forget the fact that there's a golden egg there's a crew of people that looks like they're dancing to ritual music, elevating a man and a woman, and then the dude gets dipped in gravy and becomes fried chicken.
a piece of chicken. A big piece of fried chicken.
Yeah, that was great, Sylvie. Like, that's my type of commercial. I love to start my Fridays listening to this shit.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I actually enjoyed it, but what the fuck is wrong with people? Like, it's like they're trying to pass us a little comment there. A little maybe you're not eating chicken.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just human sacrifice. I'll have a medium adrenochrome with my.
Can I pick the color of my chicken?
What's that?
Can I have a white guy? Can I have
an
Asian chicken? Can I get a black chicken? I get a Muslim chicken. Comedian Russell Peters once said, "All people on Earth will end up beige."
So Duchess of
Not
Dub.
not only did he say that, but he also added that you should start sleeping with your favorite comedian right away because it's going to happen no matter what. So you might as well embrace it. I fucking love Russell Peters.
Yeah, he's a really funny guy. Also, Duchess of Dub. I'm not sure if I have seen you before. If this is your first time,
think so.
Welcome. Appreciate the comment. Robbie Starks. Also, is this a new commenter?
Doesn't sound familiar to me.
As a B in the LGB, I'm so fucking sick of this. Correct. As I was saying, all the normal gays are just fucking done with it. Nobody gives a shit. It's funny because I've heard it was actually listening to gay people on Twitter a couple of years back start speaking out about it that really made me think, yeah, they actually have a point. But one of the things I hear a lot is like, the gay rights movement was just about becoming part of society, fitting in, becoming invisible. They didn't want to be bullied. They didn't want to be like fired from their job, and that's reasonable. They wanted to be able to have the same rights as everyone else, but they just wanted, and the whole point was about making us highlight the similarities between them and us. Whereas the trans activism is the opposite. It's about highlighting their differences and talking about how privileged and special they are and how they should be visible among, they should be elevated above us. And it's a fundamentally different activist argument, and for them to just slap the TQ plus onto the LGB and pretend it's all one thing is it's wrong. But they only did it so that they can call you homophobic and say you hate gay people if you also say I don't think that boys can become girls. No, Sylvie, that feature will never exist.
That would be I'm able to do it. Look, I can do it right now.
Yeah,
but no,
I can also unmute. I have the same powers.
Can you mute me? Do you have the power to mute me?
I believe I do. Muted, motherfucker. Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword.
But it would be funny that people could mute you, like listeners could mute you.
That'd be hilarious.
The
whole show is just me like shaking my fists, yelling. Yeah. All right. Joe says that's because LGB was forcibly attached to every perversion, deviation, and paraphilia under the sea. That is correct. Gay people just wanted the same rights. Then the TQ plus came and they said, "Oh, here's a successful activist movement. Let's hitch our wagon to this, and now we can, normalize." Remember that kids' book, Grandpa's Pride, and it was the dad in leather bondage gear with being walked on a leash by another man at a park, like. Come on, man. That has nothing.
As much as I don't understand being gay, being bi, being a lesbian, I don't get it. I'm a straight guy. I have no attractions to naked dudes. Who am I to tell you that you're wrong?
Exactly.
What does that have to do with prancing around naked or half naked in front of children?
It doesn't.
But please explain to me how.
They've convinced a lot of people that it does. And if you say... they've convinced a lot of people that if you have an issue with that, then you hate gay people. And it's utterly bullshit. I think there's a great comment here by Robbie Starks. Says, gay marriage allowed my family to come together. Wokeism is tearing my family apart. It took so much to be accepted, only for us to now be lumped in with all the crazy liberals is not okay. That's a really common argument. And I think a lot of people on the left will be shocked by how many regular ass LGBT people are firmly opposed to this.
Not only that, but the last election in the US, how many lesbians and gays are conservative now? Which 30 years ago, that would have been unheard of. Like having gays and lesbians voting for Trump in the US, it wouldn't have never happened. Republicans would not get their vote yet.
No. And
my Instagram is filled with conservative gays.
And that's, like a big part of why I've been a liberal progressive my whole life is for that, because my worldview is just live and let live, right? I don't give a shit what you do. I don't want you to tell me what I can do. And that's been my philosophy. And for most of my life, like I'm 41, for most of my life, growing up politically, it has been the right that has been telling people what to do, telling gay people they can't get married, but that's not really true anymore. Now it's the left that's where the authoritarianism is. And that's why I'm sort of in this weird existential crisis with where I am politically. I still think a lot of my positions would never really prevent me from really being on the right or a conservative, but I'm not really on the left either. just because my worldview has never changed. It's them that has changed. And you know, I just can't in good conscience consider to like call my, like, I guess I'm, you know, my tag on Twitter is the heretical liberal. Like I still consider myself on the left, but I'm not, you know, I'm excommunicated from the church. Like none of, like, I'm not a liberal in good standing because of my, you know, my beliefs that men can't give birth and women don't have penises.
Yeah, now a homophobic as a gay.
It's wild, right? It's wild.
But again, you know, what was the name of the guy? The guy that's a woman, but he's a dude. Like he really fucks with my head.
Buck Angel.
Buck Angel, a guy I had on my other podcast, kind of fucked with my head because he's about the only trans that I actually call a dude, knowing that he's a woman.
You just can't call him a woman, right? Like
he has more of a beard than I do, son of a.
And he's fucking jacked.
But the thing is that he's the first one to admit that he has a mental he has a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
He's the first one to talk against pride. He's the first one to talk against all those things, and he's like, "Stop it." No. And yet he is absolutely hated. But you know what I found the most interesting? Because he has millions of followers, right?
Yep.
And I asked him on the podcast, I'm like, who would you say is your biggest fan base? Like, who are your followers? Like, what's the demography?
Yep.
And he's like, you know, bro, Christians. His biggest demography of followers are Christians. So I'm like, I just exactly what you said. I'm like, oh, bro, I did not see that one coming. Because as much as I don't agree with the way he lives his life, who the fuck am I to tell him that he's wrong? He's not affecting me. He's not going after children. So what the fuck do I care what he does?
And Buck Angel's a perfect example of what I mean when I say just leave kids alone. And like you can do whatever the fuck you want. Most people don't have any issue. Even most people who are, you know, against the trans ideology don't have any issue with Buck because, you know, he recognizes this is a mental health issue. I'm sick, for lack of a better term, and I need to basically fuck up my body in order to feel better. But I don't think I'm not pushing it on anybody. I'm not demanding that you, you know,
pander
feel
to your
differently.
gayness.
I mean, Joe, I know what you mean. It's funny, right? It does feel weird to call him she and her. Although, you know, Buck makes it easy because they will recognize. They'll say, "Listen, I'm a woman. I'm a female who has changed their appearance and body, and just also the nature of testosterone." Females can take testosterone and look like a male, and it doesn't work the other way around. Men who take estrogen. He doesn't
care that you call him a woman or a man. It's irrelevant to him. He doesn't care. You're not going to hurt his feelings if you don't call him by his preferred pronouns. But Joe, the only reason it happens because I'm wearing a pink shirt today. I'm feeling kind of, hey.
Well, you're one of those BC fairies. But, you know,
I'm a QC fairy. Thank you.
I want to riff off what Joe's saying here. That, you know, Joe, that's really a great example of what the trans community, what trans activism has lost. Because 10 to 15 years ago, even people who are like virulently anti-trans today we're we're pretty happy. Like we're okay with just using preferred pronouns because we all thought that it was just a mental illness and everybody knew that. And we were just, you know, if that's what they need to feel better about themselves, who cares? We didn't realize that we were supposed to expected to believe that no. It's actually something to be celebrated. It's something that's good. And that man addressed is actually a woman, and he deserves all the rights and privileges, unquestioned access to all the spaces that actual women have in society. And that's when people are like, no. And then we realize, okay, the pronoun thing was just a Trojan horse. It was a backdoor. And that's why generally, for someone like Buck, yeah, I know, I get it. It's really
a backdoor, huh?
Oh yeah, the back door. But generally speaking, you know, every time someone calls a man she or her, you just make it that much harder to tell that man he's not allowed in the women's bathroom, to tell the man he's not allowed to compete in women's sports. And the media plays a huge role in this when they do that. When they say, you know, you see it all the time, these ridiculous articles where it's like female, you know, woman rapes local woman, and then it's like an 18-year-old woman was raped by a 40-year-old woman, and they've got a picture. It's a dude. It's just a fucking dude with long hair. It's like, that's not a woman, man.
Yeah,
you know, no. and it gets pretty grotesque. So there's like a lot of examples of women who have been raped by trans people, and at the trial, they're a witness, and the judge will force them to call their rapist a woman and call him she, her. And that's got to do so much, and the people who are all like Me Too, women's rights, they're the ones, they're cheering this. They're cheering that a rape victim gets re-traumatized in
But this
court.
is where I stop. You can call yourself whatever the fuck you want. You can dress as a snake or whatever the fuck animal. You can have your partner walk you down the street the same way I walk my dog.
Yep.
Whatever the fuck ever. That's your thing. Which, as Joe's saying, pronouns are a gateway drug.
That's great.
You're not gonna force me to call you by whatever the fuck you want to be called. No. If I see a dude, guess what, bro?
Exactly.
You're a dude. I don't care. I really don't care.
Like it's really well said. Like, if you want to believe that you're a woman, that's your business. If you demand that I pretend you're a woman and call you that, that's now my business. You don't have the right to my perception of reality.
Master. That means you're gonna have to start calling me master.
Or exactly. That's how I identify.
Perfect.
That's
Perfect,
how I
Nico.
identify. Yeah.
Starting today, you guys need to call me Perfect Nico. If not, then take time. You don't call me by my preferred pronoun. Perfect.
That's my sire. His Majesty is my. That's how I identify. But isn't it funny?
Perfect is okay.
Isn't it funny how we all yes, it's a like gender dysphoria. Okay, let's just say yes, it's a mental illness, and we all understand that. But and sure, people with mental illness we should have empathy for them. But why celebrate it? We don't we have empathy for people with schizophrenia, but we don't go around celebrating schizophrenia and hope that people get schizophrenia and pretend that treating people with schizophrenia is a form of erasing them. It's okay you can both have empathy for people with schizophrenia, but also not want your kids to be schizophrenic. That's a completely reasonable thing. And I don't know, how they convinced us that on the one hand, yes, it's clearly a mental illness, and on the other, it's one that should be celebrated, and we should never, ever say a bad word against it. Mental illness is not a good thing. It's something that should be avoided.
We literally live in a society where the patients are running the asylum.
Yes,
this is what's going on, and that's what in the US they seem to be going after that. They seem to be putting a stop to it, but clearly in Canada it ain't fucking happening. But the example I've been using for years is bulimia or being anorexic.
100%.
I don't see any psychologist or psychiatrist saying, you know what, fatty, you're too fat, you anorexic bitch, lose some weight.
Yes,
they're gonna tell a young woman, because most trans are little girls. This is the vast majority of trans are little girls. They're not the dude looking like me wearing a dress. No, we're talking 8 years old, 10 years old, as mentioned by a PB in Alberta. Autism, people that are
autism is huge, huge,
and yet we're telling them that they need to cut body parts in order to become who they truly are. But I don't see people saying that to a bulimic person to say, "Oh no, you don't throw up enough, you fucking."
Fundamentally, that's what it is, right? Gender dysphoria is just a mental illness where you're not able to accurately see your sex. And body dysphoria is a mental illness where you're not accurately able to detect your weight. You're big or you're skinny, but you think you're fat. What we're doing with young people who present to a psychologist and say, I might be trans, is exactly the same as if we started treating anorexics by affirming their delusions and saying, yeah, actually, you know what? You are really overweight, and doing liposuction on them, right? We all understand that that's insane, and that would be incredibly cruel, because you can't treat a mental illness by carving up someone's physical body. And yet in the trans example, we are all supposed to pretend that that's a perfectly reasonable exception, and that 15-year-olds, we should be cutting their penises or their breasts off. Fucking Jazz Jennings, that TLC show, I Am Jazz. This is a young man who was castrated on TV. His surgery was one of the episodes at 16 for the entertainment of America. We've literally castrated a young man to be entertained. It's a sickness that is infected. I hear Elon Musk, when he first said the woke mind virus, I kind of was like,
is.
oh yeah, that's funny. But really,
It's not.
it's not. It's the best way to describe what is happening. It is a virus, and it spreads just like a virus.
It is the main reason why our son will not be going to public school. None of my
No,
kids are going to go to public school. Just, I cannot have them put that indoctrination center for them to start doubting everything that they are. No,
well,
absolutely fuck. Like, there's a few comments that are saying, so depressing. Boys can play with dolls. Girls like to play fighting with swords. What's the
Right?
big deal?
like what happened? I doubt in the 90s we had this all figured out. Like, yes, it was like we all recognize that maybe in 50, 60 years ago, it was maybe too far in the one direction. It was this conservative, old school mindset. It was like boys can't play with dolls. Everyone knows boys don't play with dolls. And then in the 90s, we're all like, you know what? Boys can play with dolls. It doesn't mean they're not, boys. It's fine. And then now we've gone so far, we're back to square one, where it's boys can't play with dolls, because the second a boy plays with a doll, it's, oh, he
Cut
must
his
be a
penis
girl.
off.
Must be a girl, and cut his penis off, because everybody knows boys don't play with dolls. Rob,
It's what, there's a lot of comments in there, and I agree with the fact that it comes down to this. Whatever the fuck you want to do to yourself, do it. If you're an adult, no problem, do whatever you want.
yes,
But there's
yeah.
a couple of things that we need to keep in mind. No, taxpayers' money shouldn't be used to fund your surgeries to encourage your mental illness. No. Your mental illness needs to be addressed, not encouraged. That's number one. Two, you don't get to go after kids. You don't get to say that a tomboy woman, a tomboy girl is a dude. No. You don't get to say that maybe a more feminine young man is a woman. You don't get to say that. You don't get to indoctrinate children. You just don't. It's not that. And three, you don't get to force me to use your fucking pronouns.
Yes.
I will not, as much as I want to let you live your fantasy or your mental illness, I will never condone it, and I will never participate in your mental illness. If you want to be a dude, man, what's the name of the dude? He won a fucking Tony this weekend. Did you see that?
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, and I think
like he's not even trying.
No, and they're not.
Like,
that's the point. It's like you can't tell me you're dysphoric and then like you got a big ass beard, or you're not even like, it's all just a power game, right? It's just to say I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, and there's nothing you can do. You're gonna bow down, and you're gonna elevate me into a status of a position of status and privilege.
They're look at this. They're showing a classic woman, well-dressed, good-looking girl, classic look. And then you have a guy with a mental illness wearing a very similar dress with the chest hair. He has more fucking hair on his forearms than I do. Like, this is a woman?
Yeah.
This is to be encouraged?
It's crazy, right? And it's like, as you said, the vast majority of people, even on the right wing, they really don't care. But it's when you're trying to demand that we all alter our perception of reality to align with your mental illness. And the fact of the matter is, it's profoundly destabilizing to children to tell them things that they fundamentally know are not true, right? Babies can detect the differences between men and women. Babies show a strong preference towards females, like their mother specifically, but just females in general over men, because instinctively they know that women are going to be more nurturing, right? So to then, when a kid gets 5, 6, 8, 10, whatever, to tell them that everything that they fundamentally feel on such a deep level is wrong, you're just fucking them up. Like, human beings, we need a foundation of objective truth and reality to anchor ourselves to, for just to be mentally healthy. If we, and I can't think of a better way to disrupt that than by telling kids something as fundamentally instinctive in them, as in the difference between men and women, is actually not true. That's vague and that's ambiguous. It casts them adrift in this fucking sea of uncertainty where nothing makes sense, nothing is real, and there's a real danger above and beyond all the physical, just the wrongness of cutting off kids' genitals and shit like that because of fucking a TikTok trend. But And then there's also this issue, as Joe says, trans people are lifelong cash cows for big pharma. 100%. I think the stat I heard was that every trans person is like $1.8 million over the lifetime in drugs, surgeries. So there's a strong capitalist, big pharma.
There's many videos recorded of executive in big pharma. They're selling their products to doctors and hospitals.
Yeah,
and they're literally just describing it like it's a cash cow. That's
that is
all it is. The day that they stopped, that they made it. Do you know that in Canada, it is illegal for psychologists or psychiatrists to not reinforce
not
trans
affirm,
ideology?
They call it conversion therapy. Can you imagine that?
So you cannot. It is not possible to go like Carl Jung, a union approach where you doubt the person and you challenge their ideas. There's a reason why they're going to a psychologist or psychiatrist. There's obviously a problem. Shouldn't that person be there to kind of challenge their ideas to see, is that a normal behavior that you're having? Like, can we question it? Nope. In Canada, it is illegal for psychologists to not reaffirm,
which is the most ridiculous thing.
Mental illness.
Yes, it's the most ridiculous thing. As Robbie Stark says, truly autistic kids can't consent. And you know what? Like, I think the numbers are like 60 or 70% of all trans people are autistic, which those numbers alone should really make you sort of take pause. But it makes perfect sense when you think about it. Autistic people, if you ever, especially like anyone who knows any autistic people understands this, they are uniquely susceptible to the idea that there's something wrong with their body. They are uniquely uncomfortable in their body, and that's often going to manifest, especially around puberty. Like, puberty is difficult for all of us. Then you're autistic, and you never really feel uncomfortable in your body, and that's unfortunate, of course. And then some fucking activist comes and says, "Oh, you know why? Because you're actually a woman. You're actually a man, just trapped inside." And for autistic people, it gives them the perfect reason for why they feel the way they do, but it's so evil that they do this because they're preying on the most vulnerable, because that is not why. And then they get their dick cut off, they get their breast cut off, and they're even worse now because the underlying mental illness has not been treated, and now they've mutilated their body. And
imagine dealing with that when you're starting to get away from your mental illness or deal with your original mental illness, and you realize that you'll never be able to have children. Because that's another thing that most women don't understand, is that little girls are the ones that are targeted by this.
Yep.
And
100%.
by cutting their body parts, by using puberty blockers and taking testosterone, they're literally making themselves infertile. They're sterilizing themselves. So those women will never be able to have children. And even if they did, can you imagine not being able, like, there's some women out there, obviously, that they're not able to breastfeed.
Yep.
But imagine that you cut your own boobs off. You lose that connection, that possible connection with your child that I will never have. I will never experience.
Well, that exact situation. Like, there's one of the followers I have on, and I followed for a while, is a detransitioner. Her name is Prisha, and she's got a fairly large following. She's gone around and done the circuit and testified in front of Congress and all that. And she recently had a baby, and she's talked regularly about how devastating it is for her that she cannot connect with her child like that. And it's just one more thing. And it's just, there's literally 50 individual reasons. Each one of them would be enough to say, okay, this trans shit is really toxic and harmful. And yet it's still going strong. It's another thing that we haven't even talked about. The autism is super high, but among young girls who identify as trans, the rate of sexual abuse as a child is astronomical. It's something like 80 to 90%. And not one of these fucking doctors or therapists stops and says, is it possible that she's associating her female sex with the sexual abuse she suffered as a 5-year-old when her uncle repeatedly molested her? And she's thinking, maybe if I was just a boy, this wouldn't happen to me anymore. I wouldn't have to deal with that. Mm-hmm. It's such a plausible, reasonable phenomenon or dynamic, and they do not. If you're in Canada, as you said, if a therapist said that, he would be breaking the law, and that is so fucked. That is so fucked up.
Are you done?
Yeah.
'Cause I-
Yeah.
I'm not trying to.
I'm done.
It sounded like a good end because there's a bunch of other shit we should talk about. But
Yes.
Angry Beaver, don't get me started with this shit. They say that
I don't
by
think that's
2035,
Yeah. Go ahead.
but that's true. What he's saying there is bang on. It's probably going to be before that. But they say by 2035, artificial wombs will be viable. So in another 10 years or so, we won't need to actually have kids, as in women will not have to bring them to term. He's right. And I don't even think it's going to be 10 years. I think the technology exists right now. I saw it. I think it was out of China or out of Japan. They're already talking about this. So yeah, but don't get me started on that shit, man. It's one of those conversations that blows my mind. I don't understand how a woman can want to not experience that. As much as my wife is going through it right now. She's 8 months. She's just over 8 months pregnant.
Yep.
It's our first kid. And you know what? Does she like it? There's good to it. There's bad to it. But I guarantee you that the good outweighs by far the bad. I'll never get to experience what it is to have something growing inside of me.
Mhm.
Like now she's like, hey, do you see this? Like you see the feet. You see the
Crazy,
hands,
eh?
like, oh, she is ballooned. See, and she'll be sitting, and all you see is like scrapes. You see moving within her. So
That's crazy.
there's nobody that can convince me. And from all the conversations that I've had with women, they miss that. It's a connection that I will never experience.
Yeah,
You and I
for
will
sure.
never be able to.
No.
Why would a woman ever not want to experience? I understand if you don't want to have kids. You know what? That's fine. But if you're going to have kids, why not do it the right way?
Yeah.
Like, why? You're never going to be able to convince me that it is, you take a natural thing like carrying a baby within a woman to putting it into an artificial womb, and it's the same thing. You'll never be able to. If you saw how the baby reacts to everything the mother does, everything. Like now
Everything.
she has conversations with him. And I guarantee you that he's reacting to her because he
Oh, yeah.
hears everything. He feels
He knows their voice.
They
He knows
share one body right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to tell me that spiritually they're not connected, there's no way. You'll never convince me that there's not a spiritual connection between my wife and her son right now.
Yeah, I you're talking
And
specifically about
removing
like artificial wombs and growing babies, and I think if we ever get that technology, I think we should be very, 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 very careful about how we deploy it, because I think you're right. I think we would lose a lot, and I think it would be just a bad road to go down. Robbie Starks, I just wanted to quickly address this. Said,
but before you do, the only thing I would say is you're also not going to be able to convince me that there's not something that's going to be lost for the mother, that the strong connection is going to be there when she brings the baby to term.
I think you're right.
Like you're never going to be
affect that child their whole life.
Of course, 100%. You're never. So forget, because that needs to be studied. We don't have the data. We don't know how the kids are going to be compared to kids that were done naturally.
That's right.
But if you imagine that the mother did not have to carry the child, you're never going to be able to convince me that she will connect with that child in the same way as a woman that carried it for 9 to 10 months, feeling everything, not being able to sleep, feeling like crap, but yet feeling him move within her. You're not going to be able to convince me ever that connection is going to be as strong. And of course, it's going to impact the baby. No questions about it.
I have no doubt about that. So I thought this was interesting. Robbie says, I worked in supply chain for a company that filled gender affirming drugs. If y'all ever want the real story, hit me up. I'd be very interested in hearing that. Robbie, I don't know if you, well, I guess if you wanted to become a member, you could jump over to the Discord server and throw it. But if not, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but my @ is @Rob_the Builder, THA. It's under my name there. Just send me a DM because I would definitely like to follow up on that and get some information about that.
Bro, if you have a setup, that's the type of conversation I'd love to have on camera.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was thinking maybe we could just come on, like Robbie, if you'd like, just come on in 10, 15 minutes and 20 minutes and just talk about your experience there. Because I think anyone in this space who is, regularly speaking about it, there's this sense that there is, a lot of shit going on behind the scenes. This, giant conspiracy between the activists, the doctors, the therapists, the drug companies. And I think it'd be very illuminating to have someone who has some direct knowledge with that behind the scenes stuff.
Agreed.
Says, and we can move on whenever. I'm
Yep.
just going to take this while you're doing it. It says, that's what happened to my niece. I assume you mean just she was a tomboy and they convinced her that, she was a boy or tried to. It's many such cases. I can't tell you how many people I've seen on Twitter who are gay or lesbian or said, listen, I'm a feminine gay guy at 40. Thank God I'm wasn't born 10 years later, because they would have cut my balls off. Or a woman who said I was a butch, tomboy teenager. Thank goodness that I wasn't, a teenager, say, because they would have told me I was a boy and I would have believed it.
I'll take this one and then we can go just because of the last part is something I say all the time, but at the Political Orphan, it's not about being autistic, it's about being attacked. In the whole generation of kindergartner to 22, what saved my kids was faith in God/truth, prayers. This is a spiritual war. I say this all the time, that right now our biggest problem is that there is a spiritual war, and like it or not, you're involved.
Yeah, I mean,
and it doesn't need to be a Christian thing like it is for me, but we are removing, again, Marxism, communism, socialism always do. The first thing they always do is can disconnect you from God, whatever the fuck you call God, nature, universe, Jesus Christ,
I can agree
whatever.
with that. I can agree with
whatever.
Yeah.
I was a spiritual guy for a very long time before I became a Christian. So my belief in God was there for
person.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
The point in the matter is there's a good reason why they removed that from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then they replace God by whatever the fuck you want. It could be Big Brother, could be money, could be trans ideology, wokeism. It doesn't matter. That's all they do. So,
well, and we've, it's kind of like many of the debates we've had here. Specifically, I'm thinking with Joe, who's obviously quite anti-religion. And I remember, I said, I too used to feel that way. I thought if we could just get rid of organized religion, we'd have this utopia, everyone would be happy. But it turns out that that's not
human
true.
Need.
Yeah, we have a need for some form of belief system. And as we've gotten more secular, we've just filled that with new religions. And they are, in my opinion, more harmful than the ones that were placing them. So even though I am technically an atheist, I'm not really in any huge rush to see religion disappear anytime soon.
I cannot see a single instant where believing in something greater than yourself is bad.
Yeah, and that's where I am too, right? I'm open to
Like before being a Christian, I was a Buddhist, and I've been spiritual for a very long time. I believe there's a hole. And you just look at the first law of thermodynamics tells you that no energy is ever wasted. It is only redistributed. So you can look at Hindu ideology where they believe that when you die, you go back to the whole. You go back to where all spirits comes from. Mm-hmm. Let's say that that's true. That means we're all the same. You believe in something greater than yourself. That means that you love other people. I don't see any downfall. I don't care really the religion that you follow. If you believe in helping others, if you believe that there is something greater than you, that you owe it to other people to be a good person, I don't see how this can have any negative effect.
100%.
At all.
I agree completely. I think, I just think that regardless of your personal specific beliefs, if you have a belief that there's something greater and that causes you to live your life in a certain way that is beneficial to yourself, your community, and the people around you, I don't see that as a bad thing at all.
Man, Joe and I might agree on something religion related for once.
Yeah, that's a great comment, Joe.
Human faith, one of the strongest force in existence. Religion is just organized, weaponized for faith. And I agree with you, man. Yeah. But faith is one thing that we're all born with. We all have faith. And, faith is the most powerful thing, if you ask me. The most powerful thing. Believing in something that you can't see. Bro, that's some powerful shit that you can't prove it exists. You just need to believe. That is some fucking powerful shit right there. No wonder organized religion will weaponize it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tool, right? And it's clearly has been used for good, for bad, many, many times in human history. And any student of history understands that. But it's also has been used for good many times too. And like all tools, it's not really the tool itself that is the problem. It is the how
The
it's used.
person using the tool.
Yes, exactly. And I completely agree with everything Joe said there. That religion is essentially often used or can be used as weaponized faith.
So let's change the
Yeah, let's
subject.
pin it there.
There's a bunch of other topics that we can actually go run through it. So I don't think it's going to be that, but I have at least like 8 or 9 others that I wanted to go
Jesus,
through.
speed round.
But I don't think it's going to be. They're going to take that much time. But all things that are worth talking about. But Pierre Poilievre yesterday finally talked about Bill C2. 1 week.
It's funny how like so much of
week after we read it all.
It's almost like he's watching our show because like remember we talked a week or two ago about like where is this guy, and now he's out there again. And we talked a couple weeks ago several times like why isn't he not coming out against like immigration? He needs to be doing this, and here he is. So
but
yeah,
too little, way too fucking late. Where was that Pierre Poilievre during the election campaign? But listen to what he had to say about Bill C2.
There's it's no sound.
What?
No sound on the vid.
Son of a bitch. I really don't like the update they did.
Does it just automatically go to mute by default?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. Let's play that again. Either way, the video is not very long.
Border security bill that was tabled last week, Bill C2, you haven't offered your views on it. Can you give us?
Well, we support a stronger border. We want severe limits on population growth to reverse the damage the Liberals did to our system. The population has been growing out of control. Our borders have been left wide open. This has caused the free flow of drugs, human trafficking, illegal migration, and much worse. And that is why we want a stronger border. We want to crack down on abuses in the immigration system. And we want to ensure that any frauds in the refugee system are reversed.
Doesn't sound like he believes.
Those are the things we're looking at. But we're also going to study the bill carefully to make sure that long-standing Canadians who are following the law are not having their rights and freedoms violated. Thank you.
Weak.
It seems weak. Yeah.
Does that sound like a conservative? Does that sound like the leader of the opposition? Does this sound like a guy that even read the fucking bill? Because I read the fucking bill. We've had conversations with John Carpe about that fucking bill.
Yep.
It is filled with surveillance power that the government wants, like opening up her mail, for example, or being able to inspect warehouses with no fucking warrants. It's filled with those things, yet, we're going to take the time to how the fuck did I have the time to do it and your team hasn't?
Well, what is he doing with his time? He's not working. We don't really see him much. Like, that's literally all. Like, take advantage of this time, because if you do win your seat, theoretically, you're going to be busy again. Use the time you have now to actually. I just think he's doing so badly after the election. Like, okay, you want to pass. People want to give him a pass because of all the shenanigans during the election. Okay, sure. But then he needs to be out there fucking working double time, hustling every single day to prove to us, those of us that voted for him, that we didn't bet on the wrong horse. Because right now it's hard to come to any other conclusion. He seems weak. He did like that. Where was there was no energy in that at all. As Wise Guy says, very weak speech by Poilievre. It felt like it, right? It didn't like. Meanwhile, I still saw him. It wasn't quite as bad as Carney's, but I saw him doing his Eid Mubarak, whatever the fuck speech, and it was still pretty
he's still pandering to them.
Pandering, 100%, yeah,
100%.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as bad as Muslim values or Canadian values, but it wasn't that far. He definitely was, put some energy and effort into that message. Where is it into this one here?
I don't think he has the balls to call anything out. I don't think he has it in him. He, like, right now, this is what blows my mind when I look at a guy like Pierre Poilievre and the fact that conservatives are still defending him. This is what blows my mind, is that conservatives out there are still defending that type of behavior. And you know what? How many people have told me during the campaign, oh, Nico, you should meet him in real life. How he is behind closed doors is not the same as in front of the camera. And all I can think of, I'm like, okay, so he's a bitch, basically. You're basically telling me that he doesn't have the balls. But let's say that it's true. You know what? Let's say that that was a good thing, which I don't believe it for a fucking second. But let's play devil's advocate. Why is he not doing it now? He is on a full pension. He doesn't have a fucking job. And there's nothing that he can say that will prevent him from winning in Alberta. Unless he goes too far left. Because people in Alberta are actually conservatives. So, and Keurig, the guy that he's stealing the riding from, did you know he was a farmer? Like before.
Which one?
The guy that's giving up his riding in Alberta and Crow.
I didn't know that.
Used to be a farmer before he got elected in 2019. So he's probably the type of guy that should be in fucking politics, yet he's giving out his riding to him. But the point in the matter is that he has no reasons right now not to be a fucking bulldog. Zero.
No, man.
He has nothing to lose.
No.
Nothing to lose.
If I was on the fence after the election, everything he's done since then, I'd be like, no, fuck this guy. Angry Beaver says the greatest division of people is the creation of political parties. Yeah, that's actually, and Angry Beaver also made this comment.
There you go. That's the one
I thought that was a great one. The government is built to provide the illusion of choice. Yeah, it's that whole sort of uniparty thing, right? And I don't always believe that. Like, you know, you hear a lot that, like, I don't think every issue is a uniparty thing, but like with this right now, it's hard not to believe it. Like, it doesn't feel like he's putting anything into this. It doesn't feel like, you know, even if he gets elected, which he probably will, because it's an extremely safe seat. Like, is this what the Conservative Party? I'm not even a conservative. I'm not a member of the Conservative Party. I voted for them. But if I was, I'd be pretty like, what the fuck? This is the best we have. This is our bulldog. Get that fucking Bexby guy out there. Get that guy in the conversation.
There you go.
Here he says,
That's close.
Poilievre. As Muslims across Canada mark Eid al-Adha, we reflect on the values of faith, sacrifice, and community. To all celebrate, I mean, yeah, it's not as bad as Carney's, but it's still like,
No. This is not the cool part. Is the people ripping into him? Because, man, it got 1.1 million views, so that got a shit ton of views.
Well, you can see when he has 4.4 thousand comments and only 4.2 thousand likes, you know, most
there's
people
a problem.
Not, yeah,
no, because
most people, people are commenting and not liking,
and you wonder why you lost. You lost the plot.
Yeah.
Nope. And Natasha Montreal is somebody that works for Rebel News, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
They're strong. Like they backed him up, but that's like, nope. Read the room, which is something you say all the time.
Yeah.
So the next election will be for immigrants only. Sorry, Canada, you've been replaced. This is exactly why you can't be trusted. I'm so glad you lost. Oh, wow. Bring it home. Controlled opposition. This is what I believe he is. I totally agree. I follow this guy, Jean-Paul Borg.
Well, I don't necessarily agree that, but it's hard. It's getting harder and harder. 10
comments in, 10 or 12 comments in, not one positive one yet. Screw you and the donkey you rode in on. Damn.
Yeah, it's
like
not
everything.
You know, I don't think he should be like hostile to Muslims, but like you don't need to pander to them. Yeah, you don't need to do that. Especially like, did you see the video over the weekend where the Muslims were of course shutting down a street and praying in front of a church in Montreal, but the church they were ringing their bells really, really. Actually, I think you retweeted it. I think that's where I saw it. Basically it was like, is Canadians had enough? But like fucking right, they should like at a bare minimum, like if they're gonna be so like, I just don't understand why, you know, I'm not a Christian. I don't have a dog in the fight, but it still just, it offends my basic sense of just fairness and justice when Christians are expected to just be disrespected again and again. And if they dare speak out anything, they're a problem, right? Like it's sort of like how, you know, it's just in keeping with the far left mindset where everything's okay if someone else does it, but if we do it, it's really bad. Like how every other country in the world is allowed to have strong immigration policies or borders, and that's fine. But when a country in the West does it, then it's bigoted and racist and homophobic. Fucking what's the ethnic diversity in Japan? You know what I mean? It's like 98 point whatever. There aren't that many Japanese people because they just, they have a much more strict immigration policy, and that's their right. But like, you never hear these people talk about them being racist. It's only when the white people do it. It's ridiculous. Yeah, this is it here. And they were furious to have the sounds interrupting their prayer. Forget how they interrupt everyone else.
It's absolutely insane that this is acceptable, because people would lose their shits if me and a bunch of Christian would go to just outside a mosque and start praying out loud.
And nor should you do that either, right? Like, there's no need to antagonize, but like that's the point. They're allowed to antagonize everyone else, and everyone's fucking terrified to say it. They have police protection while they do a show of force in our own country against us and our values, and it's bullshit. We just, it's not even a partisan thing, in my opinion. It's just about basic fairness and defending our values. It's funny because fundamentally our values are, of like Western values of like diversity, tolerance, respect for others, blah, blah, blah. Those are those are core traditionally like left-wing values. And then now the left wing is demanding that we import massive numbers of people who fundamentally do not agree with those values, who fundamentally want to change our values to something that reflects their religion and puts their religion at the top of everything. And it's
5% of Canadians are now they associate as being or identifies as being Muslim. In Montreal, where I am right now, it's 12%.
And if you look at like the problems in Europe, where you're getting close to that 20% number, like you can just see it's kind of get worse and worse and worse. The only hope Canada has is if it gets so bad over there that we fucking pull our head out of our ass before it's too late here. I don't have a ton of faith, but you never know.
Fuck, I wonder that every day, man. I wonder about that every fucking day. If this is the case, have we gone? I should have kept it. There was a great video the guy was commenting on a video that was made almost 25 years ago, and it was explaining, it was predicting what has happened in the UK and in France. Yep. And they were saying, now we're at this, if you reach that number, this is where you're going to stop.
This is what's going to happen.
Because on average, 1.8 or 1.9%, 1.9 children per European family. And they were comparing it to a Muslim family, which was 8.1. So they're like, it's going to take about 20 years for you to get completely replaced. And this is something I want to talk about. I need to do a lot more research on this, but there's some numbers out there that are fucking scary. And we're approaching those numbers. Like we're at 5% of Canada, but Montreal is at 12%. And Toronto, like I said, out of 7 million, literally 650, just under 650,000 of them are Muslims. So you're talking almost like, for sake of argument, 10% in the GTA area are identifying as Muslims.
And the fact of the matter is, I don't particularly care about like the races or the numbers. The problem is specifically many Muslims are coming here to change our society. Yeah. They do not want to become part of our society the way that it is. They're coming here to change it. And that's what I have a problem with. Joe, as Joe says, it used to be white males and the pendulum has swung to the other side, and now exotic demographics are favored. And I completely agree with that. I mean, anyone would be.
That was 100 years, but that was 100 years ago. But we need to. This is where Joe and I really disagree, because we got to be very careful. We're not white people did not come up here to change the culture 100 years ago. They came here to become something. If you look at the immigrants, if you look at the immigrants from 100 years ago, they actually they were proud of their country. They were proud to be Canadians. They were proud to be Americans. They were proud to be in North America because they came from a place that was shit. They did not want to duplicate their fucking shithole.
No,
and
they
come
knew what they
here.
were leaving, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Now we are embracing a culture that does not align with us at all. At all. And they're
not hiding it.
Shitholes. No.
They're telling us what we're gonna do.
I showed this video and I should keep it handy.
See if you can find it.
That's just explaining, bro, that's what we do. We come here and we take advantage of the fact that you're tolerant to change your fucking culture. Within 20, 30 years, you won't fucking exist anymore. And look at what's happening in the UK. Look at what's happening in France. I ain't fucking going to those countries. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, yeah, no, I agree. And I just to go back to Joe's comment, I mean, honestly, I think he's at least admitting that, other demographics are favored over white men, because most people on the left won't even admit that.
Well, you can't.
Most of them, no. But I agree with you, Joe. Like anyone who understands history is like, yeah, 50, 60 years ago, of course, white people were favored, and probably to an unfair degree, and even favored in things like law and policy. And that's wrong. And we should correct those, and we have. But and I know that you don't agree with what the left is doing now with regards to identity politics, so I'm not speaking to you personally, but I'm just saying what the left is doing now, though, is they are saying, okay, they're taking a fact. Yes, in the past, white men have been historically favored in society, and saying now we have to disfavor them or put them at the bottom and favor other demographics, other identity groups over them to make it better. And that is not, all that does is continue to breed resentment, social unrest, racial unrest. The only correct solution is make it fair and even for everyone. Do not have favored identity groups. Even while we recognize that in the past, yes, white men may have been favored, that's not the case anymore. And it's just, we recognize that was bad in the past, so why are we doing it now again today? And again, I don't think that you would agree with a lot of the DEI identity politics policies of the left. I'm just using that as an opportunity to riff off of it. But yeah, I don't, it's the classic two wrongs don't make a right. I don't know how we forgot that. That's everyone, you can't fight against historical, discrimination by new discrimination. You can't say, oh, there's bad racism, but don't worry, we're going to fix it with the good racism. That doesn't work.
And the problem is white people, especially white women. Sorry for the white women out there, but white liberal people are the problem. Like, they're the ones feeling, I should be feeling guilty because I'm a white guy. I'm not ashamed to be a white guy. Are you fucking kidding me?
They've tried to make it.
But no, but that's my point. The people that are praising other cultures that don't align with ours are doing it out of white guilt. Oh, I'm so privileged that I need to endorse other cultures and talk against mine. How many videos?
100%. It's virtue signaling.
Telling me that, but it's not racist. You can't be racist against a white person. I'm like,
that's bullshit. What? I hate that argument. That is nonsense. That is fucking nonsense. Because you know how they do it, right? They're like, oh, well, racism is, yes, it's discriminating against race, but there also has to be a power imbalance, which is bullshit. But like, they just take a blanket statement that all white people have power and all minorities do not, and that's just utter fucking nonsense. Sylvie says, make it fair for everyone. Why do we need to have millions of third worlders and all white? Well, I mean, I'm not talking about illegal immigrants. I'm talking about citizens in a society. And everyone who's here legally, the laws and policies should be fair for everybody. I don't think that's too controversial. But
I agree, Mad Dog.
I'm not talking.
I look Mexican, but I'm actually white. I'm just saying. I look Mexican, but I'm not. I'm actually white. I'm just saying.
Yes. I mean, like nowadays, especially on the left, white isn't even like an actual ethnicity. It's a political position. You know what I mean? And minority is a political position. And, it's hard to come up with, to keep all the rules straight. Like, why is it okay for a man to identify as a woman, but Rachel Dolezal, a white woman, was fucking crucified for identifying as a black woman? Like, why is there, it's nothing about the left makes any sense these days. And that is why I'm not really on the left these days.
That's
I'm a
funny. Angry
ginger.
Beaver saying I'm a ginger. I'm never not white. My wife is a ginger too, and she'll never be able to hide the fact that she's white. I can get away with not looking white, but gingers can't. You
So,
just
Sylvia,
can't
I
pull that
wasn't
off.
saying white is not an ethnicity. I said, according to the left, white is not an ethnicity. It's a political argument. I'm not saying I agree with that.
I think that's the time that Sylvia would like to have that mute button. Just shut you up.
Yeah,
Take
not gonna happen. This
well, Pierre Poilievre sent us on a 15-minute rant.
Yep.
But he's so, just to go back to this, he's so weak. He's just so fucking
Sylvie.
weak. Yeah, I know. But
Yeah.
he's weak. He's just a weak leader.
Yeah. Back to the main topic. I agree.
I don't understand how the conservatives, the people that believe that they're conservatives in Canada, are still backing that guy up. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't see why he's not. They're backing him up. Like, what are you? Because to me, I see the exact same thing that the left does by voting for Carney, thinking that they're going to get change. Is the same thing with conservatives trying to say that, oh, no, Pierre Poilievre is our leader. Why? What has he done? He doesn't stand for anything. He's weak. He's literally soft as baby poop. And to this day, now, he won't even talk about it. Like, he's not even standing for anything. Oh, we'll review the bill. Bitch, please. I had the time to review it. How did you not have that? You have nothing else to fucking do. So don't give me this shit. I'm just, how do you condone a guy like that? Like,
I can understand like the argument of like sort of grudgingly accepting him because there isn't anyone obvious, in my opinion, to replace him. The only obvious replacement that I would be excited about if I were a conservative would probably be Danielle Smith, and for lots of political reasons that's not going to happen. But to be like full-throated excited about him, like endorse him and like aggressively push back, I don't understand that. I do not understand that.
Full-throated, hold on.
I just want to take this quick comment just because I believe Denise is a new commenter. She just said the Karens lead the pack, and that was you talking about how white women are running the and that's true. It's all about guilt, right? But I did want to take that just because, Denise, I think it's your first time here. Appreciate the comment, and hopefully you stick around, which is actually a good segue to remind you guys, if you are watching and you appreciate the show, remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you really like the show and you want to support us, that picture, Kamala Harris for the people. If you really want to support us, you can become a member for the low price of $2.99 per month. It will give you priority comments here on the show, and it will also give you full access to the Discord server where we continue this conversation 24/7.
I don't know why I thought about this, but whatever you guys were talking about made me think about the Kamala Harris. Did you see that, the new logo?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Is that
really her logo? Because I mean, I see what everyone sees. How did they not see it?
A bunch of dude holding each other by the penis?
To me, it looks like what you get up to on the weekends. But I don't.
What I do
Nico on the weekend.
I don't know. I'm scrolling through her ex. She's not posting at all.
She disappeared. Denise says, I'm white, so what? Most of us here in Saskatchewan don't care about your skin color. We care that you care about the community you join, and we will give the same respect to you back. That's how most people feel, right? And yet the left is so fucking just up their own ass on this issue. They'll actually say stuff like, oh, if you're colorblind, you're actually racist. If you don't see color, I mean, obviously we all see it, but like the gist of it is, if you just think we should all be treated equally, that's actually a dog whistle for being racist. And it's like, no, it's not. You're an idiot. That's the only correct way to look at it. We should just treat everybody equally. That means if someone is being an idiot, you call them on it, even if they're a minority. That doesn't make you racist, right?
No, I don't think it's real. I don't think it's real.
The logo, I didn't think so either. I was like, there's no way that got through.
I don't know where it got posted because I cannot find her posting it anywhere. Because even her, she's not that stupid. Like that clearly looks like a bunch of dude holding other dudes by the penis.
Each other off. Yes.
Double fisting it too. Like they were.
Yeah.
Party.
Denise says, she just says, we have no choice but to back Pierre. So that was what we were talking about a few minutes ago. For the most part, he's okay. Danielle's a freaking, I really like Danielle. I think she'd be a great leader. And there was another comment that, here it was. Angry Beaver made it. Said, for 15 years, 90s to mid 2000s, we stopped seeing color. Then 2007, boom, racism in full effect again. Yeah, that's how I perceive it, right? I thought that was the sweet spot, that 90s, mid 2000s for a lot of these issues. And that's exactly
Obama.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of my main
that's exactly
critiques,
when he came. That's when he came in.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my main critiques about identity politics on the left is it actually creates racism, right? It's not a coincidence that it seems like racism is on the rise again. It's because that's what happens when you stoke racial division. So they're trying, or in theory, officially, they tell us they're trying to fight racism, but they're actually creating it. And I thought that was an accident in the past, but now I think it's intentional. Because after all, if you're an activist and you're fighting against racism, it doesn't do you any good to have a genuinely non-racist society. You need racism. And so they create it. And that's why I wish more liberals understood this and saw it clearly, because we can have liberalism, we can have old school classical liberal values without the identity politics. That can be separated, and it should be, and I think it needs to be, if the left is ever to gain cultural relevance again.
Yet it hasn't lost their cultural relevance in Canada. It's still
No, I know.
there.
Yeah.
We still have Mark Carney raising an LGBTQ flag at Parliament and praising Muslims. So he's definitely still pandering. And he's
that's right. That's right. And I mean, in Canada, I bet you if Poilievre were prime minister, he would raise the LGBT flag too. Like,
yet how much of an easy win would that be can you imagine a conservative leader saying exactly what I just said? Stop pandering to minorities, close the fucking border, and let's reassess immigration. Let's take a year or two to reassess our immigration policies to see if the people that we've been letting in for the past 5 years actually align with our values. Let's shut this shit down, and let's see if that doesn't fix the housing crisis. Let's see if that doesn't address our healthcare problem. No, but don't say it. Just say, let's see if we can figure out. At the same time, we'll figure out our healthcare system problem. We'll figure out our housing problems. We all know what it is.
Yeah,
we all know that that's the fucking problem. But
can
you imagine? But can you just imagine a guy like Pierre Poilievre, or a guy, just a real conservative, to just say, guys, let's stop this shit. You know what? You want to make Canada a better country? No problem. Your values align with ours. You should be here. You have some type of skills that could benefit us. Awesome. But let's stop importing our low wage workers,
unskilled criminals. Or,
this noise.
There's no need for it.
But the point I'm trying to make is that's all it would take. That's all it would take for conservative to be conservative again, is just to call out those things and have the balls to say so.
And I think you're right. I think just as immigration policy, that's probably just smart policy. But I think it also would fix the housing crisis. I think it would relieve a lot of pressure on healthcare. Because remember too, like, markets are always forward looking. Like, if the only reason why like prices are still going up and why they haven't gone down is because people that participate in the market believe prices will be higher in the future. But if you have an announcement like, we're just going to cut immigration for 2 or 3 years, immediately that calculation will change and the market will change, because it's future looking. You would see within a month or two, you'd see housing prices, I think, come down significantly.
It's a simple thing that we should prioritize that would impact every single sector that we're having issues with.
It's just good policy, right?
100%. And yet it would win him votes. Like, if he had the balls to speak like that during the campaign, he would be prime minister right now.
Well, and you know what? And the thing is I also think it would win votes, especially because, over the course of the next 4 years, it would be clear that policy was good. But even if it didn't win him votes, like, wouldn't it be nice just to see a leader do something just because it's the right thing to do, just because it's good policy? What a novel idea that would be, right? People would be shocked.
This is another one right here. Like, I wanted to show you guys this, but before, you can take a couple of comments if
Yeah.
you want. I'm just gonna go
Joe
back to
says the left has to lean into identity politics. Without it, they are just more corporate conservatives. Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree with you, Joe. I'll tweak it a little. I don't think they have to. I think they think that they have to. But I just like I have a theory that the left just needs a fundamental reset about what it stands for, what its values are. I think we should burn it to the fucking. That's why I still most like identify as a liberal and progressive, because I'm pushing for that, and I want to be part of that conversation. We need to burn it to the fucking ground and just take every single position and say, okay, did this make sense? Let's keep it. This one, men giving birth, yeah, fuck that, trash that. You know, I don't see it happening, but like. I agree. I understand. I think from in a practical perspective, what you're saying is correct. Right now, many of, especially the activists, they thrive on this stuff. They thrive on the identity politics. They thrive on the division it causes because that gives them meaning and purpose. But we cannot let 5% of society, maybe 10%, like the hardcore activists, we cannot allow them to dictate terms to the rest of us because they have fundamentally different interests than the rest of society. Denise says, Joester Thomas, aren't you a Trump fan? So, yeah, you're definitely new around here, Denise.
Oh, Jesus. Let's talk about starting some shit.
Yeah. But this also will show.
That's my job.
Hopefully,
Denise, that's my job.
Hopefully you
Throwing
stick
shit
around.
bombs and starting this shit is
just dropping the grenades and taking off. But hopefully if you stick around, you'll see that, you know, that's one of the things that this show makes the show so great, is that many of us have very different opinions, and yet we can all exist here. We can all share we can all share a sense of community based on common ground values while disagreeing sometimes strenuously on other issues. Silent Blind Deaf, I believe this is your first comment. I appreciate that. It says, I am Muslim and I love Canada. And like
here's a Muslim. Here's somebody. Denise loves Trump. Silent Blind Deaf is a Muslim. Joe Stradamus hates religion.
Yeah.
I'm a conservative Christian.
Yeah, and I'm an atheist.
That's the type of show. That's
a liberal with, you know, obviously. But Silent Blind Deaf, yeah, no, and that's exactly the kind of you know, a person that we want here. You know, I used to date a Muslim girl for 4 years, and her family came over here. They did it the right way. It took them like 3 or 4 years. They did it legally. They love it here, and they're hard workers. They're exactly the kind of people that you want here. Yeah. The only issue that we have is when people come here and they don't love Canada and they don't love our values and they oppose our values, and they're trying to push brute force their values over top of ours. And that, you know, that has nothing to do with their religion. It's just anyone who does that. I think, you know, people on the show are going to push back against that.
Let's change the topic. I got something else. There's a couple of more things. I'm just looking at the time. Yeah, I got time for 3.
All right.
There was, I don't know if you heard about this, but there was a massive drug bust in the Peel region. I had started talking about this.
I did hear about it. Yeah.
500 kilos of cocaine. That's what they found in Mississauga. And I want to show you the video of the police tapping their own shoulders, how great they are. But then I want to show you, I'm not sure if it's part of that video. I don't think it is. But then I want to show you what they said afterwards. So here's the video of the chief of Peel Regional Police telling us about the 500 kilogram of cocaine that was busted yesterday.
This represents a seismic blow to transnational organized crime that is coming right here into Peel.
The year-long investigation dubbed Project Pelican began in June 2024 after Peel detectives linked a group of suspects to a commercial trucking operation used to smuggle cocaine across the U.S.-Canada border. By early 2025, 2 trucks were intercepted, one at the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor, the other at the Blue Water Bridge near Sarnia, carrying a combined 177 kilograms of cocaine hidden inside the trailer of the truck.
Throughout the course of the investigation, several other large seizures were made by Peel Police in and around the GTA that had ties to commercial trucking. Of note, 2 of the parties that were arrested at these seizures were in possession of loaded firearms at the time of their arrest.
In total, 9 men from across Ontario have been arrested and are facing 35 charges related.
I paused it because I just want to kind of show the suspects here.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the trend. Actually, I'll wait till we're done.
Are there the same family though? Sing, 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 sing.
Yeah.
To drug trafficking and firearms. Peel police say the accused operated out of the GTHA and were part of a highly organized network that used trucking routes to move product.
This is connected to a trend that we're seeing in community and public safety. And without commenting specifically on this investigation, that trend is illegal drugs coming from Mexico through the US using logistics companies to bring them to Canada. And not specific to this investigation, we're aware of the trends. We're seeing more illegal drugs than we have before. And in my opening remarks, I mentioned our work's not done. So unrelated to this investigation, as long as that trend continues, you can expect to see more arrests.
Altogether, nearly 480 kilograms of cocaine worth close to $48 million was seized, along with 2 loaded semi-automatic handguns. Peel police say Project Pelican dealt a major blow to organized crime, but stress this is part of a larger trend that investigators say they are still working to stop.
So 500 kilos, $50 million.
That's a lot.
I don't
of money.
know. Yeah, but it's not worth that much. Like, I don't know what the fuck they're smoking, but 50 kilos, 500 kilos is definitely not worth 50 million. Are you fucking kidding me? Either way, the point is, so this is a historical bust, right? But before you talk about the Singh family, I just want to show you something. This is the part that was not part of the video. But see, it's the same guy that was just talking, right? Listen to what he said during that interview that obviously CTV or CBS or CBC are not going to share.
Of the 9 people arrested, 3 are still awaiting bail hearings, and 6 have had their bail hearings and have been released with conditions.
Been released? $50 million? I mean, I'm not I think, I don't think we need to be like locking up people for having a bit of blow or a bit of weed in their pocket or something, but like $50 million fucking dollars. It's, man, that's crazy. That is fucking insane. And it's pretty hard not to notice that there's been some major drug busts in the past 6 to 12 months. A lot of them are out in BC. And every single time, there's a common theme between the people being arrested, and
they're not white.
Yeah,
is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, yes, they are. That's the theme. And again, we need to be able to talk about that. Like, what is exactly is going on here? Are we actually vetting these people? I don't have any issues with. I think immigration used correctly can be a strong strategic asset for Canada and its overall goals, but we are not using it correctly. When you see this, like, these people are likely being brought in just to do this, just to, because that is major organized crime. $50 million or whatever, let's say 40 million or whatever it is. That's
500 kilos of coke.
Yeah,
you're not talking about me when I was selling drugs when I was 15 years old.
We're not selling dime bags down. Yeah, just so you can impress girls, kind of thing. Yeah.
No. I was supplementing my habit.
Yes,
I was not fucking bringing in 500 kilos of coke. But how the fuck are 6 out of 9 on bail? They're already out. And 3 of them are not out yet because they haven't had their bail hearing. Those people should be in fucking jail and not come out for 10 years.
Have they taken their passport at least? Because they're getting the fuck out of here.
If they have one.
Yeah.
Who knows if they have one? Because that's the real question. When I see this, when I see the 9 people, and I'm not trying to be racist here, but let's call a spade a spade. How many of those are Canadians? What's their status in Canada? Are they legally here? Are they temporary? Are they permanent resident? Because if they're not citizen, deport their asses right then and there. No fucking questions asked. You were busted with coke and loaded guns. Bye-bye, motherfucker. There's no fucking question. There's no bail hearing. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, we need to be able to, you know, the left will say, oh, well, we can't, race doesn't matter when it comes. Yes, it does. Like, because it will tell us patterns. Not like I'm not saying their race made them deal drugs. I'm saying if there's a pattern that certain people from certain countries are coming in here and are involved in what is clearly high level organized crime, we need to know about that. We need to see those patterns, and we need to have policies in place to go back against it.
I agree. But it's just one of those things. That's such a liberal policy to let them go free. Jail those guys. Jail those people. If they're Canadian citizen, jail them until they've been in front of a court, in front of a court judge. Have them be judged. Give them the highest term possible. We're not talking about teenage drug dealers here. No. We're not talking teenagers. We're talking heavy fucking amount of drugs.
Yeah. So now,
if they're not Canadian, if they're permanent resident or they're temporary resident, send them back where they came from. Problem solved.
I was just going to ask you that.
No bail. Send them out. They don't share that information right now. I don't know.
I was going to ask you and ask, you know, the people listening. Let's say it is, you know, let's say they're illegal or they are a recent immigrant. Do you think they should just be deported right away? And because they probably won't get any punishment, or do you think that they should serve a prison sentence first and then deported?
Why the fuck would I subsidize their living in a Canadian prison? Get the fuck out of here. No fucking questions about no. I want our jails to have space to put criminals in, but I want to have the least criminal possible. As in, if I can avoid having to pay take taxpayers' money to subsidize living in prison by just paying for a plane ticket to wherever shithole you came from, bye-bye.
I mean, I definitely understand what you're saying. I wonder if there would be incentivize more of them to come over thinking, hey, I'll make a shit ton of money smuggling drugs. And even if I get caught, no harm, no foul, they'll just send me back to India and I'll be fine. Like, you know, so I understand the logic of, I don't want to pay for them for 20 years, but I wonder if that would incentivize more of them to come over if we don't.
Because, you know, they probably are going to be able, I wouldn't be surprised if, and I'm talking out of my ass here, but I wouldn't be surprised that in prison you can probably get your permanent citizenship. And we're so tolerant and accepting that, oh, you were an illegal immigrant here and we jailed you for bringing in cocaine. Oh, you know what? We forgive you. It's okay. Here's your permanent residency.
It's not your fault. You grew up in poverty. Yes, like fucking 200 million of them did. Like, we cannot be the fucking you know, the sugar daddy, the therapist, the doctor, the provider for the entire fucking world. We can't do that.
Joe Stradamus is probably making fun of me because that sounds like something I say.
Yeah, it's not going to be racist,
but let's call a spade a spade. Yeah, I tend to do that. Let's call a spade is definitely something I say. So,
and I think
I think
he was laughing because he was like, not going to be racist, but I'm not racist. I mean, I don't think what you're saying was racist. I probably don't think Joe thinks that either. But there are people. There are a lot of people on the left
we see races. We see races. Let's not be a fucking. Let's not bullshit here. You're a white guy. I got friends that are black. I got friends that are brown. I got friends that are yellow. And you know what? I fucking see it.
Of course we see them.
I got fucking eyes. I can see it. I can. You know what surprises me most? When I see a Mexican guy in the US, like in Texas, starts talking to me with clean English. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? I'm racist because I expect you to have a fucking accent. That doesn't mean I'm going to lack respect towards you because you're Mexican and you have an accent. But at the same time, you know what? I spend a lot of time down south and Mexicans all have the same shape. They're short, all stomach, no legs, no shoulders. Sorry, but it's not a joke. That's what they look like. Does that make me a racist? Sure. But I've never heard a black guy tell me that he had a small cock, that he was against us all saying that black men have big cocks. That's racist. Yet Is it okay to be racist by saying that? Do you know
But
what I'm
it's-
saying? Like, fuck off. We
Yeah,
all
yeah.
see it.
It's like the left
Who
makes
cares?
any recognition that race even exists is racist, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like if you like you the example you just gave, yes, you expected like if I were to meet an Indian or Chinese guy, and again, yeah, they speak perfect English, I'll be a little bit surprised. And the left would be like, oh, that's racist. Well, is it? Or is it because it's just a reasonable assumption based on the overwhelming evidence that the vast majority of those people will have a strong accent? That's not racist. It's not good or bad. It's just a fact.
It's
and
racist, but it is racist. But
by
who
the
cares?
left's definition, sure, maybe.
Oh yeah, but who cares? We see differences. We do. That doesn't mean I'll treat them any differently.
Yes,
You know,
to me,
if
that's
you're-
what makes it racist. Is if you treat someone shitty just because of their race, but the recognition that they have a different race and the recognition that different cultures have certain idiosyncrasies and quirks in behavior, that's just observing factual reality. The left.
Am
right
I
now,
racist for saying that Mexican food that I really like Mexican food?
Well, remember they fucking crucified Donald Trump for having that fucking taco bowl on Cinco de Mayo. Like, fucking, give it.
I like Mexican. I like Mexican food. Does that make me a racist? I like Indian food. Does that make me a racist? I like Thai food. Does that make me a racist?
Well, I mean, they'll say a white girl's a racist if she puts braids in her hair. You know what I mean? Like, it's this kind of idiotic nonsense.
But it's okay. But it's okay for black people to wear jeans, although it was invented by a bunch of white guys.
Or
don't get me started on
a black
this
woman
shit.
to wear a blonde wig, right? That's perfectly fine.
Oh, of course. Oh, blue eye contact too, because that really goes with being black, right?
Yeah. I just want to grab Denise's comment here for a second. She said, we are voting for Alberta and Saskatchewan to separate if the vote comes up. I just grabbed that just because if you are new to the show, this is a topic that we definitely have committed to covering. Hasn't been too much in the news about it lately, but anytime something comes up, after the election, me and Nico, we sort of realized this is going to be a major, major issue over the next year or two and probably longer. So this show specifically is going to be devoted to that topic a lot. So if that's interesting to you, it's just one more reason to keep coming back.
Now, spade was a euphemism. Put that again.
Oh, sorry. I'll go back to it.
Joe Stradamus update. Spade was a euphemism for black people in the U.S. for years.
Really?
Huh. Really?
I didn't know that.
I fucking love that expression. It's like retarded.
Let's call it spade.
Love that.
Oh, is that why he was saying? Because the terms call a spade is technically
is racist. So saying I'm not going to be racist, but I'm going to be racist.
Yeah, that is really funny.
Spade. Fuck, I need to Google this now.
Mojo Risen. I believe that's a new commenter. Welcome, Mojo. Hopefully you stick around. It says, is there bigots, racists, and Nazis meet? I'm not really sure what you mean.
Is there places we can all meet? I've said that so many times.
Oh, okay.
I can't go eat Mexican food with you. The clan is meeting.
Oh, yes. I
don't
mean,
have time for this. I'm busy.
It depends who you talk to, right? If you talk to the left, everybody's racist. So yeah, like you can't even.
Let's see.
Angry Beaver says biases aren't racism. I assume they are assumption. Well, I mean, most stereotypes have a bait. Like, look. Is it racist to say that most black people like fried chicken? Yeah, I guess technically, but also I've never met one who doesn't. So I mean, it's just these are just factually true things.
Oh, did you see the part? Did you see Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo?
I haven't seen it, but I know this Rob Schneider.
Hold on, Deuce. You can take a comment. I just
Moho Risen said there's only 12 you Nazi bigots in here. Are you being sarcastic, or are we actually Nazi bigots? Just to clarify. But yeah, I know that the left call. I'm a liberal, but I've regularly been called a far right Nazi because I think that women can't have penises, right? So it's a little hard to kind of the meaning doesn't really have a whole lot of meaning these days, like so many. Oh, Moho says, I mean, your bigots, right? Racist. And he's actually serious. Oh, just racist. Oh, well, I mean, okay, let's explore that. Like, specifically, I know I'm curious. We'll move on, but specifically, what was said?
There's no point. There's absolutely
curious.
no point.
Specifically, what was said that was racist. That we have a ridiculous immigration policy that does not prioritize Canadians, because I think most people would agree with that.
There's 0 point engaging with that, bro. Like, you know what? Here for you. This is for you, Mojo, just to prove your point. This is how racist we are right here. There you go. This one is for you, Mojo. You're welcome.
TJ, thank God you're here. How'd you find me? It's the only chicken and waffle place in all of Holland. So a black man's got to be at a chicken and waffles place. That's racist. But you are here. Yeah, but figuring it out is racist. That's a nice place.
There you go. Figure it out.
This guy. Oh, see, like, is that really, man?
Don't engage, bro.
Like, this
You're
is what's
not
wrong with
used
the
to
left. Like, and any remote, like, it's just slogans. There's no thinking whatsoever. And any take that is just like does not comport to the prescribed narrative is like, oh, you must be a Nazi, you must be a racist, you must be a bigot. Like, you got to grow up, man. You know, I am a liberal. You got to think for yourself at some point, though. You can't just mindlessly swallow just whatever gets shit down on you by your ideological superiors.
There's no point in gay. I get those people on my stop enabling him. There's no point. It's one of those, bro. I get them by the hundreds every day. Not worth it at all.
Yeah, I know. Having
fucking point.
Advocating for reasonable immigration policy is not racist, and anyone who says that it is a moron who should be ignored.
I'm not gonna call him a moron because I don't call people names.
I call morons morons. I'm not.
No, I don't even care. It's not worth enabling him. At the end of the day, this is the type of guy that spends way too much time by himself, listening to what people want him to say. Just let them deal with him. Not worth engaging with him.
Yeah, Sylvie says, "What's your ethnicity? Are you just liberal?" Guarantee he's a white guy, or maybe a white woman. Just, you know, self-hate and guilt, white guilt.
It is what it is, man. I deal with those people every day. So all good. Here is another one I thought you'd find interesting. This is the type of shit that pisses me off.
What is it?
So I saw this post this morning where Canada Proud is reporting that Mark Keenan.
Relatively modest.
Like Mark Keenan, a BC man who was convicted of possessing child pornography depicting children between the ages of 9 and 16, has been spared jail time after Judge Andrew Tam ruled that his 6-image collection was relatively modest in size. And again, I'm like, is this even real? Was that taken out of context? Even CTV News is reporting on this. They are literally quoting exactly what I just read. Yet, Mark Keenan pled guilty to possessing and distributing child pornography in Kelowna Provincial Court and was handed a conditional sentence of 2 years minus a day, 18 months of a house arrest, then bound by a 6 p.m. curfew for the remainder. So you got 9 guys that just smuggled 500 kilograms of cocaine. 6 out of the 9 are already on bail, and you know that the next 3 are going to be on bail. They're waiting.
Of course they are.
And now we got a guy that's been caught with child pornography that will not go to jail because his collection was modest. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
Yeah.
You wonder why people take advantage of Canada? You wonder why criminals don't give a fuck about laws? You wonder why Canada's turning into a shithole? Just look at the home invasions going on in Toronto. You know why? People don't have guns. Only criminals do. So what the fuck are you going to do? Now we're letting pedos walk? Oh, you know what? It was a modest collection. Are you fucking kidding me?
There's no such thing as a modest collection. Like, the obvious implication is that there's a reasonable amount of kiddie porn to have on your computer, and as long as you're within that reasonable range, it's no big deal. I don't, again, I don't. Hopefully, this isn't a partisan issue, I'd be, I'm sure there's some far left idiot who will think this is a good thing, and talk about all the, the intersectionality of the power structures and blah, blah, blah. Fact of the matter, it's just a pervert. It's just a pedophile. And there's no such thing as a modest amount of kiddie porn.
Yes. It just, I read those articles and how the fuck is that even happening? So Andrew Tam, which is the judge that let that guy go free. This is what I would like implemented in Canada. If that guy is caught again with something else that's related to children, the judge should go to jail for the maximum sentence that guy is facing. If you let that guy walk and he does it again, it's on you as a judge. You should go to fucking jail. Go spend time in prison with that guy and let people know that you let pedophiles walk. See what happens to you in prison. You should be left in fucking general population so that the big boys over there can show you what happens to pedophiles in prison.
Yeah, I think,
a judge, you should be responsible as a judge. If this causes any more damage, you should be held responsible. You should have to go to prison too.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly, I don't know if I would agree with that, but I definitely agree that there should be some sort of consequences. I don't know if this, even if it's something like judges get elected or something, or there should be a process where judges can be, if not removed, at least severely rebuked. I don't understand who. There's no it boggles your mind. Why would you ever do this? Why would you even say that? And as Mad Dog says, I would be questioning the judge's value, and if he might be guilty himself, maybe they didn't want to check this guy's hard drive, because that's just like a relatively modest amount of kiddie porn. That's the whole point of kiddie porn, is there is no relatively modest amount. Any amount is by definition far too much.
It just fucking blows my fucking mind. Nico, would you be able to link that story on your page for me? You're talking about Mark Keenan, sorry.
The kiddie porn, the modest amount of kiddie porn one.
Yeah, you know what? If you want to check out. Oh shit, I can't share it as a story on my Instagram right now from my browser.
Denise says, why aren't real criminals in jail? Yeah, I mean, I got to imagine people are getting sick of it. We keep hearing about these stories.
Are we?
Well,
are we though?
You're right. I mean, it's one of those weird things where, like, if you talk to almost anyone in real life about that, they'll be shocked. And same thing as the $50 million drug thing, they will be shocked. And yet it never seems to translate into, political anger. Like, a lot of the people who are shocked they won't see the connection between that and a liberal government who has made very specific policy changes. It's not like liberals come to power and just, criminals just decided to do more crimes. It's that actual policy changes by the liberals have allowed criminals to get out on the streets more with these like insane and easy bail policies, but it also tells criminals that you can, you don't need to be as worried, and that obviously incentivizes crime. So it's like people don't make that connection, and yeah, it's definitely frustrating. Denise says, my dad worked in the justice system in HC. What would that be? Maybe BC?
High court?
For 40 years. I'm looking down. I see H is right next to B, so maybe she meant BC. For 40 years, and this catch and release system the government has put in place has tied the hands of judges. Most of these guys need to be in jail. Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. Judges' hands are tied by liberal policies, and that's a big reason for just the broad spike in crime. But this specific case, this judge's hands were not tied for that. That was his decision. activist judges, right? Oh, House of Commons. Yeah, that makes sense. Sylvie says. But she did mean BC. All right. But House of Commons would make sense.
The part that bothers me, just as I'm looking right now, because I'm looking at different articles, I cannot see a picture of that motherfucker.
No, you know what that means? Oh, shit.
Mark Keenan, I want to see what that guy looks like, because I do not condone, like, you'll never see me share pictures of guys that shoot out schools. I will not condone that. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for attention. I guarantee you Mark Keenan from BC ain't fucking looking for attention. I want to show that guy's face. I want to plaster his face all over my fucking social media. I just need to make sure he's the right one. But all the articles that I'm looking at right now, none of them have the picture of the guy. They all have a dumb fucking picture that has nothing to do with the guy itself.
Yeah.
See, this is always something that bothers me too, because you know that if I did something, if I did something that's considered racist, my fucking face would be on every single fucking article. Oh man, a white guy from Montreal's racist. Here's the fucker. That dude is caught with a modest stash of kiddie porn, and his picture is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, again, it's just it's direct relation to that, between that and liberal policies. This idea that, like, we can't shame anyone. No, shame obviously turns out shame served a pretty useful social function. And a lot of problems in society now are directly related to the way that we've done away with shame completely. Oh, you can't shame. Yeah, it's okay to shame some people. It's okay to shame pedophiles. That's not a problem. So, you know, even, like, I don't think obese people should be bullied, of course, but I can't tell you how many times have you seen some, you know, redemption story on social media where someone says, I was big, now I lost weight, and the number one thing that caused was just the shame that I felt just going through society. I don't think we should bully people, but that had a social function there, because that person is now much healthier. They are happier. Their life expectancy has increased. And so it turns out shame can, in some certain circumstances, be useful. Of course, there are times when it's not useful, but that's why we should never just get rid of it totally, because it does serve a social function. Denise, thank you so much for that. Our newest member. We appreciate each and every one of our members, and great to have you on board.
But man,
now that you're on board,
a fucking picture of this guy, that really bothers me.
That's all right. I'll do.
No, but he should be exposed. That is the type of shit that you should get exposed for. As somebody that's going to be a parent, I want to know if my neighbor is one of those guys. Because if he is, we're going to have a serious conversation, him and I.
Yes,
we're gonna be talking to one another.
Absolutely, right? Like, that's completely reasonable to have. Like, if you're a convicted pedophile, everyone in the neighborhood that you live in has the fucking right. Their right to be aware that there's a pedophile in the neighborhood far exceeds your right to not be shamed for your criminal behavior. Like, it's all about, it's just so much of the liberal mindset on crime and criminal justice is about reversing the priorities. It's the criminals now who are the priority, and the victims, they can get fucked. But yes, welcome again, Denise, our newest orphan. And if you want to now jump to the Discord server, I would love to, you can message either me or Nico, and I'd love to hear about what you were talking about earlier. Your experience in the drug industry, working with so-called gender affirming treatments, because I think that would be a really interesting conversation.
I don't think it was Denise though.
Oh, was it not Denise? I thought it was.
No, I thought it was Angry Beaver.
I feel like it is.
It Denise, was one of the Angries.
One of the Angries.
I'm just kidding. It was an angry candidate. No, it was Cook. Oh, maybe it was her.
I think it was.
No, but the picture doesn't look right. It was another one. Hold on. Let me scroll back. Was it her?
I really think it was.
Well, Denise, was it you?
Yeah, we
But
could just ask her.
we can make it simple if we wanted to.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to, because see that's the thing. And another thing I'm noticing is that they don't seem to be using the word pedophile.
Well, yeah,
it was Robbie Cook. We had another Cook earlier. That's what I thought. It was Robbie.
Oh
Cook.
shit. Was Robbie? Oh, okay.
Yeah. See.
Oh, I think you are right.
I am right. I don't think. I know.
Well,
see,
let's
and
not
even
get
Denise.
too, let's not get too. Let's not take our victory lap just yet.
It's already done. I'm already fucking running, bro.
You're already doing your laps.
But
you're already halfway through.
You know what I'm noticing about this fucking twat of Mark Carney is that nowhere do they use the pedophile.
No, they don't.
And yet, I just made sure before I looked, and the definition simply means that's a person who's sexually attracted to children. If you have that type of modest collection, you're obviously attracted. Oh, Robbie Starks.
Yes. So, correction. But Angry Beaver, you were correct. And Denise, welcome to you. We appreciate the support.
Just fucking blows my mind. This
that's crazy. It's just
bullshit.
We don't need to coddle pedophiles, right? We don't need to if I don't think they should be like, in fear for their life. However, the rest of the neighborhood, well, yeah, okay, sure. I'm certainly not going to argue too strongly against it either. But
brother, there's a thing I don't accept, and that's my limit.
Yeah.
Talk with kids, anything that has to do with children. If you're trying to indoctrinate them, if you're taking advantage of them sexually, if you beat them, this is a line I do not cross. This is nope. This is the taking a back of the shed type of argument.
Absolutely.
This is not. You cannot fix that. You cannot. There's nothing that you can do to those people that will make them not like it.
No.
There's nothing. Chemical castration does not work. Physical removal does not fix this. There's nothing you can do to fix those. And goddamn, even as a Christian, that's a line that I will have a conversation with God.
Well, and I mean, just at a bare minimum, the neighborhood has the right to know. And that.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Angry Beaver, yeah, he says because they are disgusting minor attracted persons as if they're definitely pedophiles.
I don't fucking get me started on this.
Yeah, if you're on social media, you'll see that a decent amount. If you're on critiquing the left, the new term they've come up with, they call themselves maps. Have you ever seen the term
minor
map?
attracted
That's what they
person?
mean.
Yep.
They're trying this. It's like these motherfuckers are trying to rehabilitate pedophiles. They're trying to rebrand pedophiles as just another sexuality. And into the wood chipper. You'll see these people on social media like, what about all the pedophiles who don't molest kids? And I'm like, I'm sure they exist, but okay, that's a pretty low bar. Like, do they deserve a fucking medal? Like, it's not. You don't deserve a medal for just not molesting a kid. And who even sits there and think I'm going to advocate for pedophiles today? It's just. If someone's doing
pedophile?
That, exactly. You know their value system is all out of whack. Wise guy said, plain devil advocate here. Did you know that if an over 18-year-old girl makes herself look like a 14-year-old and those photos are represented as under 18 to the viewer, it is still illegal? That's interesting. I didn't know that. I feel like it could be hard to prove, but yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with it. It's hard to get because then you get into definitions what does how does trying to look like a 14 or how do you look 17 versus 14 or whatever? I don't know. It's a whole slippery slope. I just think let's just do away with all of it. We don't need to have if someone's making porn or sending pictures, they should be obviously 19 or older. I don't. I know
and we're talking here. There's an article saying that these images depicted boys between the ages of 9 and 16. Okay. We're not talking about a girl trying. I'm sorry, but guys can't really fake their age the way women can.
No,
a 16-year-old looks like a fucking 16-year-old.
I mean, there definitely are. I've
we're
definitely
talking about a
seen-
50-year-old man too. We're not talking about an 18-year-old man that was dating a 16-year-old girl.
No,
Like,
exactly. And I was going to say,
we need to be careful about those things. But now we're talking 54-year-old men with pictures of little boys between the age of
9-year-old
9 and
boys.
16.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off. There's
Um,
no pity here. Zero.
Yeah, like yeah, there definitely are some individual cases where you can see that an injustice was done. Like, for example, like you said, an 18-year-old boy or a 19-year-old boy who gets arrested for having sex with his 16-year-old girlfriend. I don't really think that makes him a pedophile. But broadly speaking, the laws are there to protect kids, and they have to be pretty strict. But this case we're talking about, there's no gray area. This isn't ambiguous. This is just a run of the mill fucking pedophile, and it's grotesque to say he's got a modest amount of kiddie porn.
These victims were essentially naked in the images focused on their genitals. Interactions of the sexual nature were also involved. In these messages, there were references to Keenan posting a blog, the content of which focuses on sexual activities with children. The people with whom Keenan communicated were mostly adults. Hey, fuck off.
Fuck's sake.
But there was modest collection, most
modest
adults.
Listen, I'm reading an article here. It says, none of the images depicted penetrative sexual activity, the court heard, but one showed a grown man and a child victim with their hands on each other's genitals. That's a modest amount of kiddie porn in the eyes of this judge. A grown-ass man fondling a child's genitals. And because it was modest, he was given a suspended sentence. Essentially, what was it? House arrest. Yeah, house arrest. And
for 18 months, and then the last 6 months, he's going to be on a 6 p.m. nightly curfew.
That's the most ridiculous
How
thing
much
I've
do you
heard.
want to bet? How much do you want to bet that motherfucker gonna continue doing the exact same thing he's doing?
Oh yeah.
No consequences. Can you imagine? He got caught and he's like,
house arrest. That's all the more time. Did they take his internet access at least? I bet you they didn't. I bet you he's got full internet access.
No, that would be going against his rights.
His rights to have a modest amount of kiddie porn. What do you think? You want a pinner here? It's
pinner here. That is not a great choice of word for
pinner here. Put a pin in it here at this point in time.
I'm just trying to see how many of them re-abuse.
Oh yeah, just Google like recidivism rate of pedophiles. I think it's really, really high because it's not curable. It's not something that they ever get over, and they don't want to get over it. They like being pedophiles.
So here are what they're saying. The initial follow-up of the child molesters found that 42% were reconvicted of a sexual or violent crime during the 30 years follow-up period.
How many didn't get caught again, right? So if you got 42% get reconvicted, that's probably an actual recidivism rate of 70 or 80%.
And you know what? There were studies and they were taken down because I've been looking into this problem for a very long time. I saw a video it was on Netflix of a movie, a documentary about this pastor that when this father he was from Ireland. He did his priesthood somewhere in the US, southern US. And for years he was touching children. And the church knew. They kept on moving him and moving him and moving him.
Yep.
And they interviewed the parents of the kids that they found out later that they hosted that guy in their house. They had kids and they were all abused. The guy had abused at least 200 to 300 kids. And they talked to him. They talked to the guy, bro, if you want to be mad, just the way he explains it, like it was a total normal relationship in his head. He's done nothing wrong. Never been inside of a prison. They just deported his ass to Ireland and he was okay. But the point that they were showing, that was probably 10, 15 years ago that I saw that documentary. And I was doing some research and they were showing that 70 to 90% of pedophiles had been touched as children. that it was something that was conditioned, just the same way as the trans, where a lot of them are sexually abused or they're on the spectrum of autism somewhere. So you're starting to see that all those conditions are actually put on people. Like it's something, they're not born with it. It almost seems like something is causing it and we're not addressing it. But in those cases, man, it blows my mind the amount of, because did you know that the average pedophile is something along the lines of 40 to 50 victims?
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's fucking.
I had a podcast with an old Navy SEALs that hunts them down. Now he catches them. He does sting operations with police, and he's a badass fucking Navy SEALs. And I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure he was stating 40 to 50 victim is the average pedophile. That's what they have on average. It's insane the amount of people that they actually abuse.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, that's fucking wild. And certainly these kind of things, like these kind of like get off with a slap on the wrist, it certainly doesn't help.
No shit. Oh, a typical pedophile. Hold on. Oh, Jesus. See, the more I look, the more it's the worse it becomes. But I have an article here that is saying that's just sharing numbers. 117. There are more than 42 million survivors of sexual abuse in America. 1 out of 3 girls before the age of 18, 1 out of 5 boys. There was a 100-something motherfucker. This is one of the topics I address all the time, but goddamn, a typical pedophile will commit 117 sexual abuse.
That's insane.
But those are the numbers that are never reported. They don't want you to talk about this.
Jesus. Yeah, that's fucking wild.
We can stop it there because this is the type of shit that, see here, nearly 70% of child sex offenders have between 1 and 9 victims. At least 20% have 10 to 40.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. We'll put a pin in there. Thank you again so much for spending the afternoon with us. You could have been anywhere in the world today, but you chose to be here with us. Welcome to our newest orphan, Denise Cook. And there's also lots of, several new faces today. So hopefully you guys will come back and help, involve in the conversation, help build the community we're trying to do here. If you think there's a need for a space like this where people from a pretty wide spectrum of political beliefs can get together and share a sense of community and, have some interesting debates and discussions, then the best way you can do that is support us by subscribing or liking. Or if you want to really help build the community and support us, you can do what Denise just did and become a member. Other than that, folks, we will catch you tomorrow, same time, same channel, and hopefully we'll don't forget to throw something on the Discord server if you see something that you want us to talk about.
That smash button.
Like the smash, yes, like that smash button. We'll check you tomorrow. Oh, Silent Blind Deaf also became a member. Well, we appreciate that, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow.